Chapter 49. Brother Yun Chang, how could Ning Yu be your match? One of the advanced stage post-liminary realm warriors said flatteringly, if you want to test his strength, I can spar with him before he fights Zhang Wenyong. No need. He's just a genius from a small city. So what if he's strong? We have to look further. Yun Chang said, this training in Elixir Dragon Valley is a rare opportunity. You have to cherish it and enter the inner yard in this year's assessment. Inner yard. Hearing the two words inner yard, a few people beside him revealed looks of longing. They had just entered Danwu College for a year and had been cultivating in the outer yard. They were not qualified to enter the inner yard yet. All the warriors in the inner yard were at the post-liminary realm. Even the top few in the inner yard ranking had reached the post-liminary realm, and their strength was close to the martial realm. Alright, it's not easy to enter the inner yard. You have to participate in the assessment. Waving his hand, Yun Chang asked, I told you to keep an eye on Kong Yu. Where is she now? Kong Yu should be at Drunken Cloud Loft now. A peak post-liminary realm warrior said, ever since we entered Tianxian City, she would go to the Ning family every morning and stay there for an hour before leaving. Swoosh. Hearing this, Yun Chang's face darkened. He said in a low voice, why is she going to the Ning family? Is she looking for Ning Xian? Brother Yun Chang, I don't know. I don't dare to follow her too closely. I'm afraid she'll find out, the peak post-liminary realm warrior said carefully. Good, very good. I'm so infatuated with her. She's going to meet her lover behind my back. Clenching his fists tightly, Yun Chang said in a cold voice, rest well today. Tomorrow morning, come with me to meet that Ning Xian. I want to see just what aspects a person who did not enter the Danwu Academy has that would attract Kong Yu. Early the next morning, in Ning Yu's room. Splitting the cyclone is indeed difficult. It seems that to split into 4 cyclones, one must reach the peak post-liminary realm or even the post-liminary realm. With a slight frown, Ning Yu muttered, at the late stage of the post-liminary realm, there is too little yuan qi in the cyclone. It is not enough to split the cyclone into 4. After a night of practice, Ning Yu's cultivation had risen to the late stage of the Hotian realm. However, he hadn't divided the cyclone into 4. If one could divide the cyclone into 4 at the Hotian realm, then they would truly be a genius among geniuses. They could even be called a ghostly genius. Even in his previous life, Ning Yu, with his heaven-defying talent, was only able to split the cyclone into 2 when he was at the primary stage of the Xian Tian realm. Forget it. We can't be too hasty on the path of cultivation. Standing up, Ning Yu stared at the remaining Supreme Essence condensing pill in his hand, feeling troubled. How should I give it to Father? Ning Yu had refined 3 essence condensing pills, 2 supreme grade and 1 high grade. He had used 2 of them for cultivation, so he was left with 1 transcendent essence condensing pill. Although the soul solidifying pill would be of great help to him in advancing to the peak of the Hotian realm, he knew that giving the soul solidifying pill to his father, Ning Hai, would be the best choice at this stage. Ning Hai's cultivation was at the late stage of the Xiantian realm. If he took the soul condensing pill, it was highly possible that he would advance to the peak of the Xiantian realm, or even the complete Xiantian realm. At that time, Lin Jingtian would have to think twice before making a move. Sigh, if it really doesn't work, I'll just have to say that Elder Hiroshi gave it to me. With a sigh, Ningyu stood up and walked toward the door. Bad news, Brother Ningyu, bad news. Ningyu had just pushed the door open when he saw Ning Xian standing outside, looking highly anxious. Xiner, what exactly is going on? Speak slowly, Ningyu asked with a frown. Oh, Brother Ningyu, come with me quickly. Brother Ning Xian is going to duel with someone else. As she dragged Ningyu towards the door, Ning Xian said, in the family's training grounds, no one can stop him. Duel with someone else in the family's training grounds? Is it with Ning Hu? Ningyu was a little confused. Logically speaking, the younger generations of the Ning family were on good terms with each other, so they shouldn't be dueling. It's not with Ning Hu, it's with someone from Danwu College. Ning Xian explained. Why would someone from Danwu College come to the Ning family to duel with Ning Xian? This time, Ning Yu was even more confused, but very quickly, he thought of something and exclaimed, could it be that the girl that Ning Xian likes has just returned from Danwu College, and Ning Xian wants to duel with someone because of her? Ning Xian's face froze, and she nodded her head vigorously. Ning Yu's mouth twitched a few times, thinking to himself that this was really melodramatic. How could such a plot happen in the Ning family, and he had to encounter it himself? Although it was a melodramatic plot, Ning Yu did not stop, but increased his pace. He had no choice, they were already bullying him, and he could not afford to lose face. A few moments later, Ning Yu and Ning Xian arrived at the training ground. Ning Xian, don't say I didn't give you a chance. They had just arrived at the training grounds, when Ning Yu heard a voice calling out to him. Let me see, what makes you worthy of Kong Yu's affection? A man holding a folding fan waved the fan in his hand and said with a smile, moreover, I will suppress my cultivation level to the early stages of the Hotian realm when I duel with you. It will be very fair to you. Yunqiang, whether I like Ning Xian or not has nothing to do with you. I hope you will leave quickly. A young girl beside Ning Xian said angrily, her pretty face showing signs of anger. Little you, this matter has nothing to do with you. Others have already bullied our family. We cannot let others say that our Ning family's sons are cowards. Ning Xian's face was flushed red, his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles cracked, looking like he was going to fight for his life. Yunchang shrugged and said, Ning Xian, I don't really want to duel with you. I just want to tell you that Kong Yu is from Danwu College, and the gap between you and Danwu College is very wide. I want you to give up on this idea as soon as possible. After that, Yunchang winked at the four men behind him. They understood and immediately stood beside Kong Yu, surrounding her. Kong Yu, I'm sorry to have wronged you. The corners of Yunchang's mouth curled up, and he waved at Ning Xian, saying, How about this? I allow you to find another helper from the Ning family, 2 against 1. No need, against you, I. Ning Xian's eyes were cold as he said angrily. Haha, elder brother Xian, we brothers have not fought side by side for a long time. How can we miss such a good opportunity today? Before Ning Xian's voice faded, a voice was heard. Slightly startled, Yunchang turned his head around, only to see a handsome youth slowly walking towards them. The youth had a warm smile on his face as he directly ignored Yunchang and said to Ning Xian, Elder brother Xian, you have also successfully advanced to the early Hotian stage. How about we join forces again today? Ning Xian nodded his head and did not refuse. He was well aware of Yunchang's strength. Even if he suppressed his cultivation to the early Hotian stage, he would still be no match for Yunchang. 3 moves, in his opinion, Yunchang only needed 3 moves to defeat him. Once Ning Yu joined the battle, he believed that the 2 brothers would have an extremely high chance of defeating Yunchang, who had suppressed his cultivation to the early Hotian stage. Who are you? Yunchang raised his eyebrows when he saw Ning Yu ignore him. Chapter 50. Ning Yu shrugged and said, It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that you are in the Ning family, and I am a member of the Ning family. Although Yunchang could not see through Ning Yu's real cultivation, he was not worried at all. In his opinion, an 18th-rate family like the Ning family could not possibly have any talented warriors. Even if there were 8 or 10 of them, they would not be his match, let alone 2. Standing on the spot, Yunchang had a confident look on his face as he said, All of you can attack first. Because the moment I attack will be the moment of your defeat. I see. Yunchang, I want to know if suppressing my cultivation to the early stage of the Ho Tian realm still counts? Ning Yu asked. Of course it counts. Yunchang said proudly, Suppressing my cultivation to the early stage of the Ho Tian realm is enough to deal with you. Hee, then we will make our move. With a smile, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold and his body turned into a beam of cold light, rushing towards Yun Chang. Not good. At first, Yun Chang was calm and confident, but when he saw Ning Yu make his move, his face changed and he quickly retreated. This was because the power of Ning Yu's attack far exceeded that of an early-stage Ho Tian warrior. It was close to the late stage of the Ho Tian realm. Bang! In that instant, Ning Yu's fist and Yun Chang's fist collided, causing a muffled sound. Yun Chang retreated a few steps before he could stabilize himself. As for Ning Yu, he tapped the ground with his toes and retreated 3 steps. The difference between the two was obvious. Brother Ning Yu is good. Brother Ning Yu is really powerful. Even the warriors from Danwu College are no match for him. Danwu College is nothing. Brother Ning Yu will enter Danwu College sooner or later. I told you. With Brother Ning Yu here, nothing will happen. Around the martial arts practice field, the Ning family's children instantly burst into exclamations of surprise and discussion. Yun Chang appeared in the Ning family's martial arts arena. Due to his status, the upper echelons of the Ning family did not intervene. Instead, they chose to let the younger generation settle it among themselves. Yun Chang's cultivation was at the early stage of the Xian Tian realm. Among the younger generation of the Ning family, Ning Xian had just advanced to the early stage of the Ho Tian realm. How could he possibly be a match for Yun Chang? Now that Ning Yu had appeared and forced Yun Chang back with a single move, the younger generation of the Ning family felt their blood boil. Why is Yuer so strong? At the entrance of the martial arts practice field, Ning He frowned slightly, feeling a little puzzled. A few days ago, he had examined Ning Yu's body and learned that Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the primary Ho Tian realm. He had judged that Ning Yu's cultivation was at least at the middle stage of the Ho Tian realm, or even at the late stage of the Ho Tian realm. Father, I don't know. Ning Hai was also very puzzled. Patriarch, with Yuer's strength, it's only a matter of time before he enters Danwu College. Ning Tang, the great elder of the Ning family, said happily. At the mention of Danwu College, Ning He's complexion changed slightly. He said in a low voice, "The competition in Danwu College is very fierce and cruel. If I had a choice, I really hope Yuer would not enter." After saying that, Ning He turned around and left. Looking at Ning He's back, Ning Tang said, "Patriarch, what happened at that time? Why does the Patriarch look a little lost every time the Danwu College is mentioned?" "I don't know the specifics." Ning Hai shook his head and immediately said with a gloomy face, "Don't ask about other things first. Keep an eye on the martial arts practice field. Don't let Yun Chang hurt any of the Ning family's children." The reason why Yun Chang was allowed to behave atrociously in the martial arts practice field was because of his identity as a disciple of Danwu College. With the Ning family's current strength, they could not afford to offend a behemoth like Danwu College. "Ning Yu, you are Ning Yu." In the martial arts practice field, Yun Chang's complexion changed slightly when he heard the discussions around him. He said in a low voice, "Originally, I thought it was just a coincidence that you killed Lin Feng. Now it seems that it was not entirely a coincidence. Your strength is enough to compete with an ordinary warrior at the advanced stage of the Ho Tian realm." After the exchange just now, Yun Chang was secretly shocked. This Ning Yu's strength was really strong. He judged that Ning Yu had not used his full strength. If he had used his full strength, his strength could not be underestimated. Thinking of this, Yun Chang said, "Not bad, not bad. It seems that you are qualified to make me use my strength at the intermediate stage of the Ho Tian realm." "Haha, didn't you just say that you would suppress your cultivation to the early stage of the Ho Tian realm? Why? Could it be that the people of Danwu College will also go back on their words?" Ning Yu's eyes opened wide and his expression was very exaggerated. "Humph. So what if I suppress my cultivation to the early stage of the Hotian realm? Don't tell me that you are still a match for me. Yun Chang coldly snorted and said, I suppressed my cultivation to the intermediate stage of the Hotian realm. This is enough to show that I value you. Even if you lose to me, you can still be proud. He is too shameless. Going back on his words and making it sound so dignified. Tisk Tsk, who asked him to be the genius of Danwu College. There is no other way. Just now it was Brother Ningyu who attacked. If Brother Ningxian also attacked, I am afraid that the genius of Danwu College would also be beaten up. It is hard to say. Later, the genius of Danwu College will definitely use the strength of the early stage of the Hotian realm. The mocking laughter that came from all around caused Yun Chang's complexion to turn ashen. It was extremely unsightly and somewhat angry. When people were angry, they would do some crazy things. Yun Chang coldly said, Ningyu, I have changed my mind. I will not suppress my cultivation to the intermediate stage of the Hotian realm. I will use my full strength and challenge the entire younger generation of the Ning family. Swoosh. Yun Chang's words made the warriors of the Ning family in the martial arts practice field quiet down. They knew that Yun Chang's cultivation was at the early stage of the Xiantian realm. His strength was valiant. If he used his full strength, he would be able to sweep away the entire younger generation of the Ning family. What do you think? Do you dare to accept? The corners of Yun Chang's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a complacent smile. He slowly swept his gaze across the martial arts practice field and said gloomily, I thought you would have a lot of backbone. It seems like you are just a wax figure with a silver spear. Nice to look at but useless. Ning Xian's complexion was very unsightly. He took a step forward and was about to attack. However, Ningyu pressed on his shoulder and said indifferently, Since you're in such a good mood, why don't I play with you? However, I don't need so many people to deal with you. I can do it myself. Yun Chang was a genius of Danwu College. His cultivation was at the early stage of the Xiantian realm. He definitely had many trump cards. Ningyu naturally would not allow the younger generation of the Ning family to attack. After all, apart from Ning Xian, the younger generation of the Ning family were all at the body-tempering realm. No matter how many body-tempering realm warriors there were, they would not be a match for a Xiantian realm warrior. You are indeed arrogant. I want to see if you are qualified to be so arrogant. Yun Chang said coldly as he stepped on the ground. Raging primordial chi burst out from his body in an instant, shattering the ground. A slightly thin figure suddenly rose from the ground like a ghost. He clenched his fist and a wild primordial chi swept out, bringing with it gusts of strong wind. He attacked Ningyu mercilessly. Oh no! Brother Ningyu, retreat quickly! Brother Ningyu, retreat quickly! You are not a match for him. Damn it! Ning Xian cursed in his heart. He held the iron blood sword in his hand and his eyes turned cold. He was about to attack. Chapter 51. Boom. Seeing the violent Yuan Qi wave from Yun Chang's body, Ning Yu's eyes were filled with shock. A Khanate stage cultivator from Danwu College is indeed powerful. In the blink of an eye, Ning Yu flicked his sleeve, and a wave of vigorous Yuan Qi suddenly rushed out of his body. At this moment, the surrounding air seemed to be greatly disturbed and was forcefully split in half. Humph! Child's play. With a cold snort, Yun Chang instantly sped up. His extremely fast figure brought with it a violent Yuan Qi gale. On the Ning family's side, everyone's faces darkened when they felt Yun Chang's powerful Yuan Qi wave. This wave of Yuan Qi had clearly reached the peak of the early Khanate stage. Clap clap clap. Clap clap clap. In the next instant, Ning Yu's fist collided with Yun Chang's, causing a series of muffled sounds. Feeling the explosive sensation from his wrist, Yun Chang's expression changed slightly. He then borrowed the force of the collision and retreated several steps. Swoosh! However, in the next instant, Yun Chang sped up again. His fist tore through the air and suddenly appeared in front of Ning Yu's chest. Ning Yu felt as if the air around him had been torn apart. A ghostly fist broke through the air and quickly turned into a sharp sword, fiercely chopping towards his head. Middle grade profound level magic treasure. Seeing Yun Chang take out a magic treasure flying sword, the crowd let out gasps of surprise. Their brows were filled with worry. Profound level magic treasures were extremely heaven-defying. In the hands of a connate stage cultivator, they could display 100% of their power. Brother Ning Xian, quickly think of something. If this goes on, Brother Ning, you will be defeated sooner or later. Didn't Yun Chang say that he wants to challenge the entire younger generation of the Ning family? Let's attack together. In the training field, the Ning family's youths were filled with righteous indignation. They all wanted to go up and help. All of you calm down. Ning Xian was still aware of the situation and did not act rashly. He could sense that the fight between Ning Yu and Yun Chang had already surpassed his understanding. Even the slightest yuan qi undulations made him apprehensive. If they were to join in, they would probably be repelled before they could even touch Yun Chang. I think you should hurry up and help Brother Yun Qiang. Once he brings out his flying sword, even 10 Ning Yu won't be a match for him. On the other side, a Peak Ho Tian warrior from Danwu College sneered. What's the point of letting them do it? Listen to me, let the older generation of the Ning family take action. Maybe Ning Yu will have a chance to live. It's hard to say. Big Brother Yun Qiang is very strong. Among the 20 students who graduated from Danwu College, he can be ranked in the top 5. I'm afraid that even the older generation of the Ning family might not be able to defeat Big Brother Yun Qiang. A mid-grade profound rank magic treasure. The sounds of ridicule from the surroundings didn't affect Ning Yu, and it instead caused him to calm down. In the face of the sharp flying sword, he frowned slightly. Then, his feet touched the ground and his body shot forward. Netherworld Samsara Palm, the second move, lonely name. At the same time, Ning Yu's hands quickly formed a seal. In the next instant, a huge palm print flew through the air and collided with Yun Chang's flying sword. Not good. Yun Chang's face changed drastically when he felt the pressure from the palm print that came from the depths of his soul. His speeding figure quickly stopped and tried to retreat. However, the palm print was extremely fast, and it came crashing down in an instant. In the next instant, an extremely clear, muffled sound rang out. Then, the crowd saw a miserable figure fall from the high platform of the martial arts arena. Crack! Blood gushed out as Yun Chang's body slammed into the ground, creating a clear crack on the bluestone pavement. The cracks continued to spread, and finally, under the tremendous resistance, they vanished into thin air. At this moment, Yun Chang's breath was weak, and his eyes were dim. Rumble! At this moment, the entire martial arts arena fell silent. The 4 martial artists from Danwu College were extremely shocked when they saw the young man standing with his hands behind his back on the martial arts arena, and Yun Chang lying on the ground like a dead dog. Ning Yu, who was in the advanced Hotian realm, had actually defeated Yun Chang, who was in the early Xian Tian realm. This kind of combat strength was indeed terrifying. Even if he was compared to Wu Long, who was ranked 4th among the 20 students, he wouldn't be inferior, right? Phew! Seeing that Yun Chang had lost his combat strength, Ning Yu let out a long sigh of relief. His heavy body finally relaxed, and his face was slightly pale. In order to defeat Yun Chang with one move, although he didn't use his strongest combat strength, he still used 80% of his strength. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, the figures of the 4 Dan Wu Academy martial artists who followed Yun Chang swept out in an instant, surrounding Ning Yu in the middle. Being surrounded by the 4 Danwu College martial artists, Ning Yu's relaxed nerves tensed up again. You guys want to fight too? In that case, let's fight to our heart's content today. With a fierce glint in his eyes, Ningyu took a step back, and the Yuan Qi and the two cyclones in his knowledge instantly burst out. Whoosh! Feeling the powerful Yuan Qi in Ningyu's knowledge the four Danwu College martial artists' expressions changed, and they all took a step back. I didn't expect you to hold back. One of the Peak Hotian realm martial artists stared at Ningyu and said coldly, judging from the Yuan Qi in your body, you should have reached the Peak Hotian realm. If you want to fight, then fight. What's the point of talking? Ningyu said coldly. Cough cough. At this moment, Yun Chang coughed twice and got up from the ground. Staring at Ningyu, Yun Chang's eyes were filled with malice. Good, very good. Ningyu, you've defeated me. Let's wait and see. With that, Yun Chang turned to leave. Seeing that Yun Chang was about to leave, Ningyu waved his hand and said calmly, the Ning family is not a place where you can come and go as you please. It's easy to enter, but difficult to leave. Yun Chang stopped and said disdainfully, What? Can you stop me if I want to leave? Shrugging, Ningyu said, You can leave, but you have to leave something behind. You've delayed the Ning family's cultivation time, so you should at least give me some compensation, right? Good. Very good. You're the first person who has dared to extort me. Yun Chang reached into his pocket and took out 2 elixirs. These are 2 superior-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs. Take them as compensation. Receiving the 2 superior-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs, Ningyu threw them into his mouth and chewed them under everyone's shocked gaze. Pursing his lips, Ningyu said, 2 superior-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs are not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. I didn't expect a martial artist from Danwu College to be so poor. Fine, I won't make things difficult for you. Get lost. Seeing Ningyu's actions, Yun Chang was dumbfounded. Was he still human? How could he swallow 2 superior-grade marrow-cleansing elixirs so easily? After a short moment of shock, Yun Chang's face was filled with anger. Ningyu was slapping his face and mocking him. With his character, how could he tolerate it? Chapter 52. Sigh. Glancing at the flying sword in Yun Chang's hand, Ningyu sighed. The Emerald Cloud sword is your personal sword. It seems like you like it a lot. How can I take away what you love? Despite his words, Ningyu reached out his hand to take the flying sword from Yun Chang's hand. Humph! The corner of Yun Chang's mouth twitched as he snorted and threw the Emerald Cloud sword at Ningyu. Bah! His right hand grasped the air, and the Emerald Cloud sword was firmly grasped in his hand. It is indeed a mid-grade mystic class flying sword. It is barely enough as compensation. Ningyu sent his soul power into the flying sword to inspect it. He then waved his hand. You may leave. Ningyu, have you lost your mind? Did you not understand what I meant? Yun Chang was enraged. As long as you can subdue it, it will be yours. Now you still. How do you know I haven't subdued it? Before Yun Chang could finish his sentence, Ningyu interrupted him and waved the Emerald Cloud sword. You can try and see if it still listens to you. Yun Chang wanted to recall the Emerald Cloud sword. Whoosh! However, in the next moment, his expression changed and his eyes were filled with disbelief. My Emerald Cloud sword, you erased the soul imprint I left in it. How did you do it? It was no wonder that Yun Chang was shocked. Every mystic class and above would have a soul imprint on it. In order to completely obtain the treasure, the soul imprint must be erased. Otherwise, the treasure would not be able to unleash its full potential. Now that he had lost contact with the Emerald Cloud sword, it meant that the soul imprint on the sword had been erased by Ningyu. I forgot to tell you, other than being a martial artist, I am also an alchemist. With a flick of his wrist, a 1-star badge appeared in Ningyu's hand. Looking at the badge in Ningyu's hand, Yun Chang's face turned pale. Possessing a 1-star badge meant that Ningyu was a first-grade alchemist. Impossible. My soul imprint was placed into the Azure Cloud sword by my master. With your status as a first-grade alchemist, it is impossible for you to erase it. Demonic technique. You must have used a demonic technique. Yun Qiang shouted, not daring to believe the reality in front of him. Frowning slightly, Ningyu was a little unhappy. He said coldly, "You want to go back on your words." Boom. As he spoke, the essence in Ningyu's two qi whirlpools surged out in a frenzy, suppressing Yun Qiang. To deal with this kind of person, one had to use force and beat him until he was convinced. Poochie! Yun Qiang vomited a mouthful of blood and knelt down on one knee. His face was deathly pale. Ningyu didn't just use his yuan qi to suppress it, he also quietly mixed his soul force with his yuan qi, forming a double suppression of yuan qi and soul force. As Yun Qiang had already been struck by the netherworld Samsara Palm's second move, Lonely Name, his soul was severely injured. Coupled with the pressure of yuan qi and soul, he naturally could not withstand it. "I will give you one last chance." Cram! Ningyu took a step forward and shouted. "Big brother Yun Qiang, where there's life, there's hope," one of the peak post-liminary realm martialists said. "All right. Let's go. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will continue to flow. Ningyu, this enmity is settled. Just wait and see." Yun Qiang's heart bled after losing the Azure Cloud Sword. However, he was helpless and could only leave like a stray dog. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, Ningyu might do something out of line. Swoosh! Seeing Yun Qiang leave like a stray dog, the martial arts practice ground quietened down. Kong Yu was extremely shocked. No one in the martial arts practice ground understood Yun Qiang's strength better than her. He was ranked in the top 1,000 of Danwu College's outer court. Defeating Yun Qiang with one move, doesn't this mean that Ningyu's strength is enough to rank in the top 1,000 of the outer court, or even the top 800? As she thought of this, the way Kong Yu looked at Ningyu changed. Any martialist who entered the top 1,000 of the outer court would have a high chance of entering the inner court. Big brother Ningyu is great. Big brother Ningyu is amazing. Not only is he talented in alchemy, but his martial cultivation is also very strong. When that genius from Danwu College left just now, his face was as ugly as a pig's liver. After a while, the huge martial arts practice ground finally erupted. The young martialists of the Ning family all looked at Ningyu with undisguised admiration. "Big brother Ningxian, I have to leave first. Tell everyone that it's best not to leave the Ning family during this time. I'm afraid Yun Qiang will attack them." Although Yun Qiang did not dare to attack the Ning family openly, he still had to guard against such a possibility. Even a cornered dog would jump over a wall, let alone a living person. After thinking for a while, Ningyu continued, "Also, remember not to speak of what happened today. If anyone dares to speak of it, don't blame me for not showing mercy." After speaking, Ningyu turned around and walked out of the martial arts practice ground. With Ningyu's powerful soul perception, he had long known that Ning Hai and Ning Tang were outside the martial arts practice ground. He had defeated Yun Qiang in one move and obtained the middle-grade profound rank flying sword. This matter had to be explained. Coincidentally, he could use this opportunity to give the transcendent grade condensing pill to his father. As for the aftermath of the martial arts practice ground, Ningyu believed that with Ning Xian's ability, he would definitely be able to handle it perfectly. There was no need for him to worry too much. "Father." Outside the martial arts practice ground, Ningyu's expression was calm. Not bad. Follow me." Nodding his head, Ning Hai did not ask any more questions and turned to leave. He followed Ning Hai through the backyard and stopped in front of a hidden stone door. There were 2 grooves on the stone door. Without hesitation, Ning Hai placed his palm on the grooves and exerted a little force. Traces of blood flowed from his fingers into the grooves. Creak! As the blood continuously flowed in, a creaking sound was heard a moment later as the thick and heavy stone door slowly opened. Swish! Just as he entered the stone door, Ningyu felt a cold and gloomy aura. This cold and gloomy aura caused him to involuntarily shrink his neck. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu looked ahead, only to see a long and narrow passage in front of him that was somewhat pitch black. After walking for approximately 15 minutes, they reached the end of the passage. The front suddenly became wide and spacious. 2 rows of stone rooms were neatly arranged on both sides, with names written on the stone doors of the stone rooms. Ning Batian, Ning Tao, Ning Ming. Mu Yunshan. Ningyu's gaze shifted, finally stopping in front of the stone door where Mu Yunshan was. Mother. Staring at the 3 large words on the stone door, Ningyu's mind exploded, causing him to be somewhat absent-minded. Although the owner of this body was not him, the faint feeling that originated from the depths of his heart still made him feel very uncomfortable. Ever since he could remember, Ningyu had never seen his mother, thus his memory of Mu Yunshan's face was extremely vague. In the past, Ningyu had also asked about it, but Ning Hai had always found an excuse to avoid it. This time, for some unknown reason, Ning Hai had actually taken the initiative to bring him here. Chapter 53. In the stone room, a coffin lay quietly in the center. There was nothing else around it. Taking a deep breath, Ning Hai stepped forward and pressed a round button on the coffin. Ka-ka. Shortly after, the coffin slowly opened. Ning Hai took out a golden box from the coffin. The box was engraved with unknown patterns. There were locks on all 6 sides of the box, making it look extremely mysterious. Seeing the golden box, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He suppressed the restlessness in his heart and asked curiously, "What is this?" "This is what your mother left for you." Staring at the golden box, Ning Hai revealed a sad and lonely expression. "Mother," Ningyu said. "Yes." Ning Hai nodded and said, "Now it's time to give it to you." Having said that, Ning Hai took out 6 keys and opened the golden box. Hua! As soon as the box was opened, a golden light shot out from inside, followed by a majestic wave of essence qi. This wave of essence qi caused Ningyu's heart to tremble a little. He felt a sense of fear. What is this thing? Taking the box, Ningyu looked inside. Supreme 9 Purities Sword Technique. Looking at the words on the slightly yellowed book in the box, Ningyu's heart could not help but tremble again. The Supreme 9 Purities Sword Technique was the treasure of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. Why was it here? Could it be that Mu Yunshan was someone from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple? Right, the Palace Lord of the 9 Purities Temple in space has the surname Mu. Could Mu Yunshan be her daughter? Frowning slightly, Ningyu had some understanding of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple in his previous life. He knew that the Palace Lord was an extraordinary person, and his cultivation had already reached perfection. "This is the cultivation technique your mother left for you. She said that when your cultivation reaches the Hotian stage, she can give it to you," Ning Hai said. "Father, is Mother a member of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple?" Ningyu asked calmly. Waving his hand, Ning Hai said, "Don't ask about your mother's identity for now. Once you have cultivated this part of the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Technique to the extreme, you will naturally know everything about your mother. Train here for the next few days. You can only leave when you've mastered the first form of the 9 Heavens Sword Technique." Then, Ning Hai turned around and left the stone room. As for Ningyu, he sat cross-legged and slowly activated the 9 Clarity Supreme Sword Technique. "There are only 6 styles?" Ningyu frowned as he flipped open the sword formula. Through the memories of his previous lifetime, he knew that the Supreme 9 Clarity Sword Technique had a total of 12 moves, and when cultivated to the limit, it was comparable to a top king rank martial technique. Right now, there were only 6 moves, and their power was equivalent to an Earth rank upper grade martial technique. It just so happens that I won a mystic rank middle grade flying sword from Yunqiang. I can use it to cultivate the Supreme 9 Clarity Supreme Sword Technique. With a flick of his wrist, the mystic rank middle grade flying sword, the green cloud sword, flew out and hovered above Ningyu's head. He separated a bit of his soul force and entered the green cloud sword, leaving a soul mark inside. Ningyu did not cultivate the sword technique at the first possible moment. Instead, he flipped open the book and memorized the mental cultivation method and the accompanying diagrams of the 6 move. Soon after, he flicked his finger and a scarlet flame gushed out, burning the book into nothingness. The first 6 moves of the Supreme 9 Clarity Supreme Sword technique was an excerpt, not the original, so there was no need to keep it. In the next moment, Ningyu operated his Yuan Qi according to the mental cultivation method of the first move, entrusted it to the green cloud sword, and began to cultivate the sword technique. Swoosh! The green cloud sword flew back and forth in the stone room at an extremely fast speed. The Supreme 9 Clarity Supreme Sword technique really lives up to its name. It is indeed a little difficult to cultivate. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu's drive surged. I can even successfully cultivate a cultivation method like the spirit transformation method. I don't believe that a mere sword technique can stump me. Rustle! The green cloud sword flew left and right in the stone room, its speed doubled. Get in! With a low shout, Ningyu gathered his Yuan Qi on the green cloud sword and pointed it forward. Bang! As the green cloud sword swept out, the surrounding air was compressed and forcefully split into 2. A low muffled sound rang out. Immediately, Ningyu's eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. The green cloud sword can't even withstand this pressure. Looking at the cracked body of the green cloud sword, Ningyu was dumbfounded. Forget it, I'll just go buy a flying sword. I don't have any suitable weapons anyway. Transcendent grade condensing essence pill, I can only give it to father next time. Shaking his head, Ningyu stood up and was about to leave the stone room. However, he seemed to have thought of something and did not leave immediately. Instead, he stayed for another day. Ning Hai had said that he would leave when he mastered the first form of the sword technique. If he left so early, wouldn't he be a monster among monsters? A day later, after tidying up his clothes, Ningyu left the stone room. Could he have mastered the first form of the sword technique? On the other side of the stone room, Ning Hai frowned in confusion. Mu Yunshan once said that even the peerless geniuses of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple would need a week to master the first form. When this time is over, I must have a good talk with you or I can't bite off more than I can chew. Shaking his head, Ning Hai turned around and left. As for Ningyu, he turned left and right in Tianxian City and walked into a shop named Supreme Pavilion. This shop was located in the golden area of Tianxian City. Not only did it sell elixirs and pill furnaces, but it also sold some high-grade magical weapons. Suddenly, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat and he turned his head around. Behind him, a short and skinny old man said with a smile, "Young master, may I know what you're looking for?" Ningyu was slightly surprised. If it wasn't for his powerful soul perception, he would not have noticed the old man. From this, it could be seen that the old man was definitely an expert. Seeing Ningyu's reaction, the old man was even more shocked. He had used a technique to hide his aura, but Ningyu still discovered him. Not simple. The corner of the old man's mouth rose as he introduced himself. "Nie Hua, the shopkeeper of this shop." "So it's shopkeeper Nye. My surname is Ning." Ningyu nodded and said, "I want to buy a suitable weapon." Niehua said, "Could it be that young Master Ning wants to buy a flying sword?" Raising his brows, Ningyu looked up to the old man again and said, "That's right. I do want to buy a flying sword." Niehua smiled and said, "The magical weapons and flying swords are all on the second floor. If young Master Ning is interested, I'll bring you there to take a look." Following that, Ningyu followed Niehua to the second floor. The second floor of the Supreme Pavilion was slightly more spacious, and there were various display booths arranged in an orderly manner. The display booths were divided into 4 areas: Heaven, Earth, Mysterious, and Yellow, which corresponded to the 4 grades of magical weapons. Looking at the display booths of Earth and Heaven, Ningyu frowned and asked, Elder Nye, does the Supreme Pavilion also have Earth and Heaven magical weapons for sale? Earth magical weapons were extremely powerful, but they were also very expensive. An ordinary Sciention realm martial artist would not be able to unleash their full power. As for Heaven magical weapons, the price was even more shocking. Those who owned them were all aristocratic families. Chapter 54. Hee, young Master Ning, the Premium Pavilion naturally has Earth-grade and Heaven-grade magic treasures for sale. Smiling, Niehua said, if you need, I can transfer them from the headquarters. Pointing at the Earth-grade and Heaven-grade booths, Ning Yu said, aren't the magic treasures in those two booths Earth-grade and Heaven-grade? Looking at where Ning Yu was pointing, Niehua said with a smile, those two booths do indeed have Earth-grade and Heaven-grade magic treasures, but they are all broken and can't display even 10% of their power. Ning Yu didn't stay too long at the Yellow-grade booths and headed for the Mystic, Earth-grade, and Heaven-grade booth. The Emerald Cloud Sword was a Mystic mid-grade flying sword and couldn't even withstand the powerful pressure of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, let alone an ordinary Yellow-grade flying sword. After staying at the Mystic booth for a while, Ning Yu shook his head and headed for the Earth-grade booths again. Flash Rune Sword. He stopped in front of an Earth-grade booth. Inside the booth was a broken flying sword with only the blade and no hilt. The body of the sword was extremely plain, and there were even spots of rust on it. Niehua said, young Master Ning has a good eye. This is the Flash Rune Sword. If it wasn't damaged, it would at least be an Earth-grade mid-grade flying sword. What a pity. Such a good flying sword, but the hilt is broken and its power has dropped a lot. If young Master Ning needs it, I can sell it to you at a lower price. How much? Ning Yu asked without batting an eyelid. Seeing that Ning Yu was a little tempted, Niehua said, 100 high-grade essence crystals. That's too expensive. Niehua thought that Ning Yu would haggle, but who would have thought that Ning Yu would move and head for the Heaven-grade booth? Niehua had no choice but to follow. Soul-breaking sword. On the Heaven-grade booth, a blue sword lay quietly inside. From the outside, this soul-breaking sword was in perfect condition. The blade was crystal clear, without a trace of dust or rust. Ning Yu's soul moved and quietly separated a wisp of soul force to explore the flying sword. When the soul force entered the flying sword, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There was not the slightest ripple. It can actually devour soul power. Ning Yu was extremely shocked. Up until now, this absolute soul sword was the second magic treasure that he had encountered that could devour soul power. The first was the devouring jade bangle he won from Zhang Wenyong. Shopkeeper Nye, how much is this soul-breaking sword? Ning Yu asked. Niehua revealed a troubled expression when he heard this, and he said, young Master Ning, this broken soul sword might be slightly more expensive. Ning Yu frowned and asked, how much? I can't determine the grade of this flying sword, but I can't carve a soul imprint into it. After Wu Long entered Tianxian City, the Zhao family and the Wangs contacted him immediately and tried everything to rope him in. To be able to rope in a Danwu College's genius, it was worth it no matter how much they spent. Wu Long said calmly, the Supreme Grade Pavilion's headquarters is in the capital. Although this is just a branch, there should be third-grade essence condensing pills here. Wu Long also had the capital to be arrogant. In the outer yard of Danwu College, he was ranked 895 and had a cultivation base of early-stage Khanate realm. Young Master Long, let's go to the third floor. They sell some elixirs there, Zhao Xian said. Thud. At this moment, Ning Yu walked down from the second floor. He was surprised to see Zhao Xian and Wang Tao not far away from him. But soon, Ning Yu's face darkened. Wang Tao and Zhao Xian were involved in the poisonous blood powder that he was poisoned with. Lin Feng had been killed and the two of them were still at large. Since I've bumped into you, I'll collect some interest first. Ning Yu's lips curled up and he thought to himself, Seeing Ning Yu coming down from the second floor, Zhao Xian and Wang Tao looked at each other and could not help but take a few steps back. They had not forgotten how ruthless Ning Yu was when he killed Lin Feng in the Tianxian Square. Ning Yu, why are you here? Zhao Xian and Wang Tao's tone hardened when they remembered that their cultivation had reached the peak of the Houtian intermediate stage, and there was a genius from Danwu College standing beside them. The supreme grade pavilion is not a place that anyone can come to. Ning Yu cupped his fists and said, "If vermin like you can come here, why can't I?" Zhao Xian was enraged. "Who are you calling vermin? Ning Yu, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you killed Lin Feng. Today, I'll let you know that there's always someone better than you." Zhao Xian and Wang Tao clenched their fists tightly, surrounding Ning Yu in the middle. "We could trample you to death in the past, and we can do it again now." After Lin Feng died in battle, the Zhao family and the Wangs spent a lot of money to buy elixirs and magical weapons to enhance Zhao Xian and Wang Tao's strength. Now, their cultivation had reached the peak of the Houtian intermediate stage. Their combined strength was comparable to Lin Feng in the past. Chapter 55. Peak of the intermediate Houtian stage. Not bad, not bad. Surrounded by Zhao Xian and Wang Tao, Ning Yu showed no fear. Instead, he smiled and said, "I already know everything that happened in Flower Scattering House. Today is the perfect opportunity to settle the score." "What Flower Scattering House? Hugh is babbling nonsense here." Zhao Xian and Wang Tao's eyes flashed fiercely as they attacked together. Two fists flew towards Ning Yu's head. Swish! Swish! As he watched Zhao Xian and Wang Tao approach, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed. His body flashed strangely as two palms filled with violent yuan energy suddenly thrust forward. Chi-chi! Wherever the fist passed, even the air would emit a low explosive sound. Netherworld Samsara Palm, first form, dust severing. Crack! Crack, crack, crack. As Ning Yu's voice fell, an extremely overbearing power erupted in an instant, wreaking havoc on Zhao Xian and Wang Tao's fists. Poochie! The pain from their fists caused Zhao Xian and Wang Tao to spit out a mouthful of blood. Their bodies swayed in the wind before they flew backwards with a loud bang and landed heavily on the ground. "Little bastard, why are you so powerful?" With an angry roar, Zhao Xian and Wang Tao stood up while enduring the pain from their fists. Their faces were extremely dark. "What a cheap mouth. Didn't your parents teach you to be more respectful?" With a vicious glint in his eyes, Ning Yu stomped his right foot on the ground and his body shot forward. Yuan energy gathered in his palms as he slashed at Zhao Xian and Wang Tao's minds. Although he couldn't kill the two of them today, he could still teach them a lesson and destroy their sea of consciousness. When it is possible to forgive, forgive and forget. Just as Ning Yu's palms were about to land on Zhao Xian and Wang Tao, a calm voice rang out beside his ear. Soon after, a fist flew through the air and collided with his palms. Bang! After the blow, Ning Yu took several steps back. Peak early Xiantian stage. Looking at Wu Long standing in front of him, Ning Yu's expression changed slightly, but that was all. That was because the peak of the initial Xiantian realm wasn't enough to make him worry. "Why don't you give me some face today and let the two of them go?" Wu Long said indifferently with a carefree look on his face. "Who are you?" Ning Yu did not continue to attack and asked. "Humph. Young Master Long is a genius from Danwu College, and he's very powerful. You'll have to bear the consequences if you offend him." Before Wu Long could speak, Zhao Xian rushed to say, "I advise you to be obedient. Otherwise, even the Ning family will be implicated." "The geniuses of Danwu Academy, huh?" Ning Yu frowned as he slowly said, "I'm afraid that I can't do it today. I have a grudge with the two of them, and I have to settle it today." Whoosh! Wu Long's face was a little ugly. He didn't expect that after Ning Yu knew his identity, he still didn't give him face. "What if I insist on protecting the two of them today?" Suppressing the rage in his heart, Wu Long asked. You're their bodyguard? Personal bodyguard? Ningyu was a little surprised. Logically speaking, a genius from Danwu College shouldn't be so protective of Zhao Xian and Zhao Xian. You're courting death. Wu Long felt that he was being humiliated and immediately attacked. His fist carried a powerful gust of wind as it blasted toward Ningyu. Hee, the two of you, this is the premium pavilion. Isn't it a little inexcusable for you to attack here? Suddenly, Niehua walked down from the second floor with a smile on his face. Seeing Niehua come out, Wu Long's fist that had just blasted out instantly stopped. He was somewhat shocked. This was because he couldn't see through Niehua's strength. Old fart, of all times to come out, you just had to come out at this time. A malicious look flashed across Zhao Xian's face. In his view, Niehua was completely siding with Ningyu. Otherwise, why didn't Niehua come out to stop them when they were fighting? Now that Wu Long had just made a move, Niehua had come out to stop him. This made them very unhappy. The two of you, if there's anything, sit down and talk about it slowly. It's better to make enemies than to resolve them. Niehua quietly smiled at Ningyu and said, Why don't you give me some face today and stop? In fact, Niehua had already been watching from the second floor. When Ningyu fought with Zhao Xian and Zhao Xian, he naturally wouldn't come out to stop them because he knew that Ningyu's strength far exceeded the two of them. After all, Ningyu was a distinguished guest of the premium pavilion. Spending 300 high-grade essence crystals, he had to be partial. Wu Long's cultivation was at the early stage of the Xiantian realm. In Niehua's view, Ningyu was no match for him at all. Him coming out to stop them not only protected the dignity of the premium pavilion, but also sold Ningyu a favor. It was just right. I don't care. Ningyu knew what Niehua was thinking. He shrugged and didn't point it out. Wu Long's face was a little gloomy. The premium pavilion was powerful, and he couldn't afford to offend them. But he had already been infuriated by Ningyu. No matter what, he had to teach Ningyu a lesson today. Otherwise, it would be difficult to resolve the hatred in his heart. Wu Long rolled his eyes and said to Ningyu, I want to challenge you to a life-and-death battle. Hua. Wu Long's words immediately caused a big wave in the premium pavilion. The genius of Danwu College wants to challenge Ningyu? I didn't hear wrong, did I? You didn't hear wrong. There's a rumor that Ningyu has already set a life-and-death battle with Zhang Wenyong. How did he offend the genius of Danwu College now? Even if he can defeat Zhang Wenyong, I don't think he has the ability to have a life-and-death battle with the genius from Danwu College, right? Your news is outdated. Zhang Wenyong advanced to the Xiantian realm as early as yesterday, and he advanced to the peak of the early stage of the Xiantian realm in one fell swoop. I heard that an expert from the Zhang family personally came to the capital to help Zhang Wenyong advance to the middle stage of the Xiantian realm in 1 week. Does that mean that Zhang Wenyong's strength far exceeds Wu Long's? The surrounding discussions made Wu Long's face even more gloomy. He hadn't expected that Ningyu would be so arrogant. Although he was ranked around 800 in the outer court of Danwu College, he didn't dare to offend Zhang Wenyong. After all, Zhang Wenyong's brother was ranked in the top 50 in the outer court of Danwu College. Sai, I've realized that recently so many people like to have life-and-death battles. Ningyu swayed his wrist and gently stroked the Qingyun sword. Qingyun sword. Seeing the flying sword in Ningyu's hand, Wu Long had a look of sudden realization and said, No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. It turns out that you have Yunxiang's support. He even lent you the Qingyun sword. I'm arrogant? Pointing at himself, Ningyu was a little speechless. He hadn't agreed to the life-and-death battle yet, so how did it become arrogant? This Wu Long is too arrogant. I just didn't give him face, and it became arrogant. It's simply unreasonable. Although Ningyu wasn't afraid of Wu Long, there was no need for him to have a life-and-death battle with him. He was pressed for time and didn't have time to waste here. There were only 5 days left until the date of the duel with Zhang Wenyong. He wanted to use these 5 days to improve his cultivation and strive to promote his strength to the peak of the late stage of the Hotian realm. I'm not interested in a life-and-death battle with you. Shaking his head, Ningyu walked straight out of the best-grade pavilion. Looking at Ningyu's departing figure, Wu Long clenched his fists. Xiao. Chapter 56. Watch out! In the best-grade pavilion, Nie Hua did not expect Wu Long to suddenly attack. Coupled with Wu Long's extremely fast speed, it was too late for him to stop him, so he could only warn him. Ningyu, to think you would have such a day. Zhao Xian's eyes were extremely vicious, as if he could see Ningyu's miserable state when he was hit. A sinister look appeared on his face. Wu Long will definitely be able to cripple him. Wang Tao was also very excited. As long as Wu Long crippled Ningyu, they would be able to bully him unscrupulously. You're courting death. Although Wu Long's attack was extremely fast, and it was a sneak attack, Ningyu's super-strong soul perception was already aware of it the moment he made his move, so he did not panic in the slightest. With a ruthless expression, the Yuan Qi in the 2 cyclones surged wildly and all of it flowed into the palm of his right hand. With a turn of his body, he punched back at Wu Long's fist. Gotcha! Ningyu used almost all of his strength in this palm, without the slightest bit of holding back. The Yuan Qi in the 2 cyclones wreaked havoc on Wu Long's fist. The huge force of the Yuan Qi caused Wu Long's expression to change. His body was pushed back several feet, and he fell into the best-grade pavilion. Swish! At this moment, the scene instantly quieted down. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they looked at Wu Long, who had fallen to the ground. The shock was plain for all to see. It must be known that Wu Long's cultivation was at the early Xiantian stage, while Ningyu was only at the Hotian stage. There was a huge difference in strength between the two. How could Ningyu defeat Wu Long in one move? Rumble! After a moment, the entire best-grade pavilion was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about it. Did I see that right? Ningyu defeated the genius from Danwu College in one move? That's right. Ningyu's palm just now was extremely fast. I only saw a shadow flash by, and then Wu Long was defeated. He defeated Wu Long in one move. How strong is Ningyu? So, he's actually this powerful. In the supreme grade pavilion, Nie Hua's eyes narrowed, and he was extremely shocked. Originally, he was worried that Ningyu would be injured, but now it seemed that his worries were completely unnecessary. Being able to defeat the early Xiantian realm Wu Long in one move, Ningyu's strength was probably close to the middle Xiantian realm. This is impossible. Wang Tao and Zhao Xian's jaws dropped as if they had swallowed an egg. The sudden change caught them off guard. Originally, they thought that Ningyu would be defeated. Who would have thought that in the end, it was Wu Long, the genius of Danwu College, who was defeated? Ahem. Wu Long coughed twice and stood up with difficulty. He stared fiercely at Ningyu and said in a cold voice, "What kind of martial skill was that? Why was it so powerful?" Wu Long didn't expect that his sneak attack with 80% of his strength would be defeated by Ningyu. According to his judgment, even if he attacked with all his strength, he might not be able to block Ningyu's move just now. "It seems that there's no need to tell you, right?" Ningyu shrugged and said lightly. "Ningyu, you're very strong. I admit that I underestimated you, but don't be complacent. Next time, you won't be so lucky to defeat me." Wu Long said. "If I can defeat you once, I can naturally defeat you twice and thrice." In response to Wu Long's threat, Ningyu said noncommittally. After giving Ningyu a fierce look, Wu Long turned and left. Looking at Wu Long's back, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and thought to himself that he was indeed worthy of being a genius of Danwu College. He could adapt to circumstances. Failure was not terrible. What was terrible was not being able to recognize one's current situation. A genius like Wu Long was destined to have much higher achievements than Yun Chang in the future. You too, I don't think we've settled our debts yet? Seeing that Zhao Xian and Wang Tao were about to leave silently, Ning Yu's body flashed and blocked their way, saying, "Now is the time to settle the matter of Scattered Flower House. Young Master Ning, eldest young Master Ning, the matter of Scattered Flower House has nothing to do with us." Zhao Xian instantly collapsed to the ground and even stuttered when he spoke. Ning Yu could defeat Wu Long in one move. Wasn't it just a matter of half a move to kill them? Yes, it was all Lin Feng's orders. How would we dare to do anything to you? Wang Tao hurriedly added. The poison blood powder was also purchased by Lin Feng. At that time, his cultivation was far higher than ours. We had no choice but to follow him. Wang Tao was stalling for time. Just now, he had already used a secret technique to communicate with the experts of his clan. In his opinion, as long as he could stall for time until the experts of his clan arrived, Ning Yu would definitely not be able to gain any advantage. What he needed to do now was to stall for time. Forget it, I won't make things difficult for you. How could Ning Yu not know what Wang Tao and Zhao Xian were thinking? He rolled his eyes and walked in front of them, patting their shoulders. You can leave now. You're letting us leave just like that? Wang Tao was somewhat dumbfounded and asked in confusion. I don't want to say the same thing twice. If you don't want to die, leave now. Ning Yu said in a low voice with a cold expression. Hearing this, Wang Tao and Zhao Xian hurriedly ran out of the premium-grade pavilion. Outside the premium-grade pavilion, Zhao Xian's face was cold as he said viciously, Brother Zhao, Ning Yu is so powerful, we must inform the experts of our clan immediately. Wang Tao also displayed his ruthless side. I have just used a secret technique to communicate with the experts of my clan. Now let's go to Scattered Flower House and discuss how to get rid of Ning Yu. Indeed, we must get rid of him. Nodding his head, Zhao Xian said, I will also inform the experts of today's events. Let's go. Exchanging glances, Wang Tao and Zhao Xian left immediately. At the same time, in the premium-grade pavilion, Nie Hua said, Young Master Ning, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Waving his hand, Ning Yu said, Compared to shopkeeper Nie, I am not even a little bit inferior. Nie Hua said, Young Master Ning is too humble. You are not even 20 yet, right? This talent is already very high. I wonder if you are interested in becoming a guest of the premium-grade pavilion? Seeing the potential Ning Yu displayed, Nie Hua wanted to recruit him. Shopkeeper Nie, how can I become a guest of the premium-grade pavilion? After pondering for a while, Ning Yu shook his head and refused. Now that he had many secrets on him, and with the addition of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, becoming a guest of the premium-grade pavilion was somewhat inconvenient. That's a pity. Nie Hua did not urge him to stay, but said, Why don't you leave from the back door? Zhao Xian and Wang Tao suffered a loss today, they will definitely not let this go. If that's the case, thank you, shopkeeper Nie. After thinking for a while, Ning Yu did not refuse this time. Although his strength was strong enough to defeat an early innate expert, the Zhao family and the Wangs were able to become one of the 4 major families in Tianxian City. Once the 2 families found out about the great potential he had displayed today, they would definitely surround and kill him at all costs. After leaving the premium-grade pavilion from the back door, Ning Yu dressed up and walked towards the Snow Domain Pavilion. Chapter 57. Recently, the news of the opening of the Elixir Dragon Valley had spread far and wide. Genius martial artists from the surrounding cities had swarmed into Profound Sky City, causing the city to become unusually lively. When venturing into the Elixir Dragon Valley, elixirs were essential. As the largest herb store in the Heaven Mystic City and even the Great Xia Kingdom, the Snow Region Pavilion's business was naturally booming. Just as he entered the Snow Domain Pavilion, a manservant greeted him with a smile. "Sir, are you here to buy herbs or pills?" With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu took out the 3-star consecration token and said, "I'm looking for your boss, Elder Mo. Greetings, my lord." Seeing the 3-star token in Ningyu's hand, the manservant said respectfully and carefully, "Elder Mo is entertaining an important guest. Please wait a moment, I'll go call him." It's so convenient to do things with it. After keeping the 3-star token, Ningyu did not choose to wait patiently. Instead, he found a pen and paper and wrote down the medicinal herbs he needed. In one of the rooms of the Snow Domain Pavilion, several people were talking. "Miss Lu, the main reason I'm here is to enter the Pill Dragon Valley with you," Wu Yong said as he picked up the tea on the table and took a sip. "Young Master Wu, with your strength, I'm afraid that many people will want to form an alliance with you," Lu Wei said with a slight frown. Old Mo said, "Young Master Wu, if I'm not wrong, your cultivation has already reached the peak of the early stage Khanate realm. It won't be long before you advance to the mid-stage Khanate realm, right? With your strength, even if you enter the Pill Dragon Valley alone, you will be able to do as you please." Wu Yong smiled and said, "Even though my cultivation has reached the peak of early Xian Tian realm, the Pill Dragon Valley is the abode of an alchemist, and Miss Lu is a second-tier alchemist. Entering the Pill Dragon Valley with her is the right choice." Wu Yong was not stupid. An alchemist's soul force was relatively strong, so it was easy for him to discover some hidden dangers. Elixir Dragon Valley was the abode of an early-stage Level 5 Elixir Refinement Master, so it was inevitable that there would be some restrictions inside. Apart from Elixir Refinement Masters, it would be very difficult to remove those restrictions with martial Dao cultivation. Therefore, no matter how powerful Wu Yong was, he had to enter the Pill Dragon Valley with the alchemist. Lu Wei frowned and did not agree immediately. Seeing Lu Xuan's reaction, Wu Yong added, "The competition in the Elixir Dragon Valley is fierce as well. When Lady Lu is in danger, I will be in danger as well. I will shield Lady Lu from all dangers." Dong dong. After some thoughts, Lu Xuan was about to say something when he heard noises coming from the door. Elder Hiroshi walked forward and opened the door. "Elder Mo, there's a young 3-star consecrator outside who wants to see you," the manservant said as he stood outside the door. "Esteemed Elder." Elder Hiroshi frowned. Just as he was about to ask a question, a thought suddenly came to his mind, and he said, "I understand. You can leave for now." The servant turned around and left. "Elder Mo, could it be Ningyu?" Lu Wei asked. Nodding, Elder Hiroshi said, "It should be Ningyu. Should we invite him over?" "No need, I'll go there myself." Lu Wei immediately stood up and apologized to Wu Yong, saying, "Young Master Wu, I have to go see someone. Please wait here for a moment." "Miss Lu, I know Ningyu as well. Let's go together," Wu Yong said. Glancing at Wu Yong, Lu Wei did not refuse. In the morning, she learned of what happened in Drunken Cloud a few days ago. Not long after, Lu Wei and Wu Yong arrived at Snow Domain Pavilion's main hall. Walking quickly to Ningyu, Lu Wei said, "Ningyu, why are you here? Why didn't you inform me in advance?" Smiling at Lu Wei, Ningyu said, "I came in a hurry this time, mainly to buy some herbs." "Wu Yong?" Before he finished, Ningyu saw Wu Yong behind Lu Wei and asked in surprise, "Why are you here too?" "Ningyu, I trust you have been well since we last met." Wu Yong said, "I'm looking for Lu Wei to discuss the matter of entering Pill Dragon Valley." "Gentlemen, this is not the place to talk," Old Mo said. After all, this was Snow Domain Pavilion's main hall. With so many people coming and going, it was not convenient to talk. Leading Ningyu and the others into a room, Old Mo said, "You guys talk first, I have something to do." Inside the room, Lu Wei, Wu Yong, and Ningyu sat in 3 different positions. None of them spoke first. After a while, Lu Wei was the first to break the silence, saying, "Ningyu, I heard that you and Zhang Wenyong have agreed to a life-and-death duel?" Nodding, Ningyu did not deny it. "Fool!" Lu Wei's face darkened, a little angry, and said, I heard that Zhang Wenyong has reached the peak of early-stage Xiantian, and a Zhang family expert came to bless him. In a week, he will definitely reach mid-stage Xiantian. What's the difference between you and him having a life-and-death duel? Ningyu, I also did not expect Zhang Wenyong's strength to improve so quickly. Wu Yong sighed. How about this, let's enter Pill Dragon Valley together. With old Mo around, Zhang Wenyong will not dare to attack you in the outer valley. After thinking for a while, Lu Wei said, and once we enter the inner valley, with me and young Master Wu, even if Zhang Wenyong has reached mid-stage Xiantian, we can still fight. Yes, Ningyu, I am here to discuss the matter of entering Pill Dragon Valley. It just so happens that the three of us can form an alliance. Wu Yong's eyes lit up and he said, Ningyu was able to cure Lu Shan's hidden illness, and made Lu Shan, a second-grade alchemist, treat him with respect. From this, it could be seen that his alchemy level had most likely reached the second grade. Ningyu's martial arts cultivation was not weak, and he could withstand a full-force blow from Song Fei at mid-stage Xiantian. Now, when Wu Yong looked at Ningyu, he had a hazy feeling. In other words, even he could not see through Ningyu's real cultivation. Could it be that he has advanced to the late-stage Xiantian? Just as this thought appeared in his mind, he could not get rid of it. The way Wu Yong looked at Ningyu changed. If Ningyu had really advanced to the late-stage Xiantian, then he might have a 10% chance of winning against Zhang Wenyong. As for Ningyu himself, he was not too worried. With his current strength, even if he could not kill a mid-stage Xiantian warrior, it would not be easy for a mid-stage Xiantian warrior to kill him. Lu Wei, Wu Yong, thank you for your kindness. Ningyu had to thank Wu Yong and Lu Wei for their kindness, but regarding the alliance, he had his own views. He said, there is no need for an alliance. The Zhang family was powerful in the capital, and Ningyu did not want Wu Yong and Lu Wei to get involved. Ningyu, you are the Snow Pavilion's 3 stars consecrator, and we are on the same side. Ningyu looked displeased and said, the alliance is decided. Don't say anything else. In 2 days we will set off for Dan Dragon Valley. Ningyu did not want to go with them, but since Lu Wei was so determined, he could not refuse. After all, Lu Wei had helped him a lot. If not for old Mo, he would have been killed by Lin Jingtian. With a bitter smile, Ningyu said, in that case, let's form an alliance. Then I will go back and prepare. We will meet at the city gate in 2 days. Wu Yong stood up, said goodbye to Lu Wei, and left the snow pavilion. After Wu Yong left, Ningyu took out a piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to Lu Wei. I need some herbs. Get me a portion of these herbs. Jasper grass, camel peak flower. Chapter 58. Never heard of it? Lu Wei was surprised, but Ningyu was even more surprised. These herbs were relatively common 20 years ago, and not expensive. Why hadn't Lu Wei heard of them? Nodding, Lu Wei said, I've never heard of these herbs. Why don't you let old Mo take a look? This time, Lu Wei didn't question Ningyu. She wanted old Mo to take a look and confirm if he had seen these herbs before. Last time, Ningyu had shocked her, so she didn't dare to make a rash judgment. If she hadn't seen the marrow-cleansing pill recipe Ningyu had taken out last time, she wouldn't have been so angry. In other words, Snow Pavilion doesn't have these herbs? Ningyu frowned. Camel peak flower, jasper grass, and the other herbs were essential to refining the soul-enchanting pill. Without them, it would be impossible to successfully refine the soul-enchanting pill. I don't know the specifics. Let old Mo take a look. Saying this, Lu Wei got up to call old Mo. A moment later, old Mo came to the room. Looking at the names of the herbs on the paper, old Mo was surprised and couldn't help but look at Ningyu. The jasper grass was extremely precious, worth 1 high-grade crystal. There were only 2 pearls in the entire snow pavilion. Moreover, the jasper grass was very helpful for soul damage. As for what kind of pill it could be used to refine, he didn't know. As for the camel peak flower and the other herbs, he had heard of them a few times when he was at Donwu College. But that was all. He didn't know their specific effect. After thinking for a moment, old Mo said, Snow Pavilion has the jasper grass. As for the camel peak flower and the other herbs, Snow Pavilion doesn't have them. If you really need them, you can try your luck at Donwu College. Forget it. Get me 2 sets of the herbs on the list. I'll think of something else. Helpless, Ningyu said. Also, do you have an illusionary cloud beast's core? If you have them, give me 5 sets of the herbs needed for the essence condensing pill. He couldn't go to Donwu College right now, so the matter of refining the soul enchanting pill could only be temporarily put on hold. As for the absolute soul sword, it did not have the assistance of the soul imprint pill, so he could not imprint his soul imprint inside. Ningyu pondered whether he should buy another Earth-grade flying sword. Touching his storage pouch, Ningyu dispelled this thought. After all, he only had over 90 high-grade origin crystals, and the cheapest low-grade Earth-rank flying sword required 10,000 high-grade origin crystals. He couldn't afford it at all. 10 minutes later, Ningyu took 2 sets of herbs for the soul enchanting pill and 5 sets of herbs for the soul condensing pill and left the Snow Domain Pavilion through the back door. Elder Mo, why did Ningyu buy 5 sets of ingredients for the soul condensing pill? Could it be that he really can concoct the soul condensing pill? Lu Wei asked doubtfully. The soul condensing pill is a 3rd-grade pinnacle pill. Even I can't say that I can successfully concoct it, let alone Ningyu. Elder Mo said, in my opinion, he bought the herbs mainly because he doesn't believe in heresy. He has a drive and must concoct the soul condensing pill. Right, the inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley is extremely dangerous. Use these 2 days to prepare well and strive to advance to the pinnacle of the post-liminary realm. As if thinking of something, Elder Mo said solemnly, Donwu College has also sent out 20 students for training. Among them, there are a few who are ranked in the top 1,000 of the outer yard. They are very strong. You must be careful when the time comes. Hearing this, Lu Wei's heart skipped a beat and she secretly became cautious. To be able to rank in the top 1,000 of the outer yard of Donwu College, their martial cultivation had reached the post-liminary realm. The inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley was extremely dangerous. If one's martial cultivation was not high, a little carelessness could lead to disaster. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. Seeing Lu Wei's expression, Elder Mo waved his hand and said, the experts of the family will arrive tonight. By then, Xiao Linxian will follow. With him protecting you, at least your safety can be guaranteed. Xiao Linxian? Raising her eyebrow, Lu Wei was slightly surprised. When Xiao Linxian was 12 years old, he displayed shocking martial talent and advanced to the pinnacle of body tempering stage 10. A year later, he reached the post-liminary realm. When he was 15 years old, he broke through the limits of the post-liminary realm and advanced to the early stage post-liminary realm. This year, he was 18 years old. No one knew his exact cultivation, but the outside world guessed that he had probably advanced to the mid-stage post-liminary realm. Xiao Linxian is the pillar of the younger generation in the capital. His strength is unfathomable. Nodding, Elder Mo said, this time, the pavilion master spent a lot of money to invite him into the inner valley to protect you. Nodding, Elder Mo said, Elder Mo, this year, Xiao Linxian should be participating in Donwu College's assessment, right? Lu Wei asked. That's right. This year, Donwu College is recruiting in large numbers. Most of the younger generation who didn't participate in the assessment a few years ago will be participating. Elder Mo explained, with Xiao Linxian's strength, it won't be a problem for him to take first place in the assessment. He might even be nurtured as an inner yard disciple. Who knows, he might even become a core disciple in a year's time. "Oh right, Elder Mo, what did my father promise Xia Linxian to make him? A martial arts fanatic, willing to waste his time to protect me?" Lu Wei was puzzled. In the capital, everyone knew that Xia Linxian was a martial arts fanatic who spent 20 hours a day on cultivation. Chapter 59. Time flew. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, when the first ray of sunlight rose, Ningyu hurriedly packed up and left the Ning family quietly. Before long, Ningyu arrived at the city gates of Tianxian City. "Hee, Ningyu, you're early." As soon as Ningyu stepped out of the city gate, he saw Wu Yong waiting outside. Wu Yong came to Ningyu's side and said, "I haven't seen you for 2 days. Your cultivation has improved again. It will be difficult for me to defeat you without some effort. Compared to you, I'm already late." Glancing at Wu Yong, Ningyu said, "Peak early stage Khanate. I believe you will break through to mid-stage Khanate after this trip to Elixir Dragon Valley." Hee, it is not that easy to break through to the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. If I had a soul solidifying pellet, I might be able to try to break through to the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Waving his hand, Wu Yong said, "Let's wait a little longer." Condensing pill. Touching his storage pouch, Ningyu rolled his eyes. 2 days, 5 cauldrons of elixirs, 1 superior grade condensing pill, and 4 superior grade condensing pills. In addition to the Supreme Essence condensing pill from last time, Ningyu had a total of 5 Supreme Essence condensing pills and 1 high-grade Essence condensing pill, but he did not plan to give them to Wu Yong. After all, he was not particularly familiar with Wu Yong, so there was no need for him to give them to Wu Yong. Whoosh! At this moment, the air seemed to tremble. Countless air currents gathered at one spot. In the next moment, a man in white appeared. The man in white carried a huge sword on his back. His face was resolute. Mid-stage Khanate? Seeing the man in white, Ningyu raised his eyebrows. He was secretly shocked. Although the man in white had concealed his aura, his sharp soul perception was still able to determine the man's cultivation. Mid-stage Khanate. The man in white was probably about the same age as him, but his cultivation had already reached the mid-stage Khanate. This martial arts talent was shocking. Xia Linxian. Wu Yong's shock was much greater than Ningyu's. At this moment, his mouth was slightly agape, and he was almost stunned on the spot. In the capital, Xia Linxian was the leader of the younger generation. He was very powerful. Some people speculated that his strength was on par with the top 1,000 martial artists in the inner yard of Danwu College. Most importantly, Xia Linxian had always been a loner and had never stepped out of the capital. Why would he come to Elixir Dragon Valley this time? Whoosh! Then, Lu Wei tapped the ground with her toes and landed steadily in front of Ningyu and the others. "Ningyu, this is Xia Linxian from the capital." After landing, Lu Wei explained, "He will enter the inner valley with us. By the way, didn't Elder Hiroshi say that he wanted to go in with us?" Ningyu was puzzled. "Elder Mo will meet us at the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley's outer valley. We'll make a move first," Lu Wei said. To reach Pill Dragon Valley's outer valley, they had to pass through the Magical Beast Ridge. There were many demonic beasts in the Magical Beast Ridge, and it was a good place to train. Naturally, Elder Mo would not follow them. As for the safety of Lu Wei and the others, with Xia Linxian around, Elder Mo was very assured. Rumble! Suddenly, a sword aura shot out of thin air, directly attacking Ningyu. "Xia Linxian, what are you doing?" Lu Wei did not expect Xia Linxian to attack Ningyu. She immediately shouted, "Ningyu is Snow Domain Pavilion's 3 stars consecrator." Xia Linxian's sudden attack made Lu Wei's expression change drastically. She knew Xia Linxian's strength. Not to mention one Ningyu, even 3 or 4 Ningyus might not be able to withstand a single attack from Xia Linxian. "Ningyu, be careful," Wu Yong hurriedly reminded. Feeling the huge pressure, Ningyu frowned, but he still stood his ground. not moving an inch. Not bad. No wonder he can become Snow Domain Pavilion's 3 stars consecrator. First of all, cultivation aside, his determination is very rare. The sword aura was extremely fast, appearing 30 centimeters in front of Ning Yu's chest in the blink of an eye. Based on this trend, Xia Linxian had no intention of stopping. Ning Yu's expression changed slightly. He formed a hand seal with his right hand and took out the Azure Cloud Sword. Chi-chi. As the sword struck out, the surrounding air seemed to be burning, letting out a sizzling sound. But in the next instant, the Azure Cloud Sword collided with Xia Linxian's sword aura, producing a low muffled sound. Feeling the huge rebound from his wrist, Ning Yu's feet touched the ground, and he took a few steps back to dissipate the force. As for Xia Linxian, he stood in the same place, frowning, as if he was recalling the move just now. Xia Linxian, what the hell are you doing? Seeing that Xia Linxian had stopped, Lu Wei hurried to Ning Yu's side and examined Ning Yu. After making sure that he was fine, she scolded. I told you before we came, Ning Yu is Snow Domain Pavilion's 3 stars consecrator, and I told you not to have any conflict with him. Ignoring Lu Wei's scolding, Xia Linxian looked at the Azure Cloud Sword in Ning Yu's hand and frowned. Your sword attack just now was very powerful. If you used an Earth-grade flying sword, I'm afraid you could have forced me to draw my sword. You are also very strong, Ning Yu said in a deep voice. Indeed, Xia Linxian was very strong, even stronger than Song Fei of Drunken Cloud Brothel. Even though Ning Yu had displayed the Supreme 9 Purities sword art, he could only block Xia Linxian's sword chi. Once Xia Linxian drew his sword, Ning Yu would definitely not be his opponent. If I'm not wrong, your cultivation should have reached the late Ho Tian stage, or even infinitely close to the peak Ho Tian stage, Xia Linxian said. Xia Linxian's words made Ning Yu's heart skip a beat. He thought to himself that Xia Linxian was indeed worthy of being the capital's #1 genius. He could actually see through his cultivation. It must be known that the outside world generally believed that he was at the middle Ho Tian stage, but Xia Linxian could actually see through it. Ning Yu couldn't help but think a little more highly of him. The peak of the middle Ho Tian stage, your talent is also not bad, Ning Yu said. What? As soon as Ning Yu's voice fell, Wu Yong suddenly jumped up. Xia Linxian's cultivation has reached the peak of the middle Ho Tian stage? This is too abnormal, it is really infuriating to compare with others. The peak of the middle Ho Tian stage. Lu Wei's heart also jumped. No wonder her father would use a supreme-grade condensing essence pill to invite Xia Linxian, so his strength had already reached this level. You can see through my cultivation? Xia Linxian was finally moved. His mouth slightly opened, feeling a little incredulous. The reason why he could see through Ning Yu's cultivation was because he had a fortuitous encounter in his early years, practicing a kind of cultivation method that was especially sensitive to Yuan Qi. Practicing this kind of cultivation method not only had a special sense of other people's cultivation, but also could conceal one's own aura. Ning Yu could see through his cultivation. It seemed that there was a secret. Shrugging, Ning Yu said, I just guessed. Ning Yu's words made Xia Linxian have an impulse to vomit blood, but he still had a feeling that Ning Yu could really see through his cultivation, and it didn't seem like a blind guess. Let's quickly set off, after all, we still have to pass through the Magic Beast mountain range. Wu Yong took the lead and flew into the distance. Taking another look at Ning Yu, Xia Linxian's toes touched the ground, and his body instantly shot out. Ning Yu, Lu Wei said, her mouth slightly open. Let's go. Seeing that Lu Xuan wanted to say something, Ning Yu spoke in an indifferent manner, after which, he ran into the distance. Damn it! Chapter 60. The Magical Beast Mountain Range was located 25 li east of Tianqian City. It was rumored that many demonic beasts roamed within. Although the mountain range was extremely dangerous, The 4 major clans of Tianxian City would send their disciples there every year to train and fight against the demonic beast. Of course, they only stayed at the periphery of the mountain range, not daring to enter. Pill Dragon Valley was located on the other side of the mountain range. In order to enter the valley, one had to pass through the extremely dangerous region. In a very deep region of the mountain range, under a dozen towering trees, 3 young cultivators stood with their backs against each other. They were wielding sabers, swords, and other weapons. Their clothes were tattered, and burn marks could be seen everywhere. A few corpses lay beside them, their bodies already a bloody mess from being pecked. Although the clothes of the 3 young men were tattered, one could tell from their temperament and tattered clothes that they came from an extraordinary background. One of the young men was carrying a petite bloodthirsty eagle in his arms. Clearly it was a cub. The dozen or so bloodthirsty eagles were all over 2 meters long. They had fiery red feathers, hook-like beaks, and scissor-like tails. One of the bloodthirsty eagles swooped down and clawed at one of the young men. Then it took to the sky again. Another bloodthirsty eagle did the same thing. Clearly, these bloodthirsty eagles were intelligent. Damn it! Why is my luck so bad? Lu Fei spat out a mouthful of saliva and cursed. Lu Fei, you still have the cheek to say that? If you didn't steal the bloodthirsty eagle's cub, would we be in this situation? Lu Fei's words enraged Yun Chang. Originally, he and 4 Danwu College students had entered the magical beast mountain range to enter the outer valley of Pill Dragon Valley as soon as possible. Who would have thought that they would meet Lu Fei from Danwu College? Moreover, Lu Fei had stolen the bloodthirsty eagle's cub, thoroughly angering the bloodthirsty eagles and causing them to hunt him down. Yun Chang accidentally fell into a dangerous situation and was also targeted by the bloodthirsty eagles. After a few battles, the 4 Danwu College students all died in battle. Currently, only Yun Chang, Lu Fei, and one of Lu Fei's followers were left. Humph! I didn't ask you to come with me. You're the one who wants the bloodthirsty eagle's cub, right? Lu Fei snorted coldly. You! Clenching his fists, Yun Chang's eyes burned with anger, but he quickly suppressed it. Lu Fei's cultivation was profound, and he had long since reached the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. He was ranked among the top 100 in the outer court of Danwu College, and his strength was unfathomable. Moreover, Lu Fei's followers' cultivation was not low either, having reached the late stage of the Xiantian realm. Suddenly, Lu Fei's follower sensed something and said, "There are 4 young martial artists 1,000 meters to the right. Yunxiang, hold the wild bloodthirsty hawk hatchlings and lure them away." Lu Fei's eyes lit up as he hurriedly threw the bloodthirsty wild eaglet to Yunchang and said, "When we return to Danwu College, I'll definitely report this to my uncle and get you a soul-condensing pill." Whoosh! Hugging the cub, Yun Chang's expression changed. He could sense the bloodthirsty wild hawk's aura locking onto him. Get lost! While Yun Chang wasn't paying attention, Lu Fei kicked Yun Chang into the distance. Ruthlessness! As soon as Yun Chang moved, the bloodthirsty wild hawk in the air flapped its wings and swooped down at him. Oh my God! With no time to think, Yun Chang broke into a run at lightning speed, using every ounce of strength he had left. Everyone, be careful. There will be rank 3 demonic beasts ahead. At that moment, in the magical beast ridge, a group of 4 young cultivators was walking slowly. Wu Yong casually tossed aside a rank 2 demonic beast and reminded them, rank 3 demonic beasts are very powerful, equivalent to a Xiantian realm martial artist. How much longer until we reach the outer valley of the Pill Dragon Valley? Ning Yu asked. If we move at full speed, it'll take about a day and a night. Wu Yong said, that's under the premise that we don't encounter a horde of demonic beasts. Once we do, our speed will drop to freezing point, and we might not even be able to move an inch. In the magical beast ridge, the scariest thing was not encountering powerful demonic beasts, but encountering a horde of demonic beasts. Wherever the horde of demonic beasts passed, Not even a blade of grass would grow. There was no sign of life at all. Hurry up, I can sense the aura of at least 10 rank 3 demonic beasts in the surroundings. Xia Linxian took a step forward and headed into the distance. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just then, the whistling of flying beasts came from the depths of the magical beast ridge, accompanied by a few screams and curses. Ning Yu's brows twitched, immediately realizing that there were cultivators fighting with flying beasts in the depths of the magical beast ridge. Bloodthirsty mad eagles. From the whistling, Ning Yu determined that the flying beasts were bloodthirsty mad eagles, early stage rank 3 demonic beasts. Xia Linxian cupped his fists and said calmly, I advise you to mind your own business. The flying beasts in front of us are very powerful, and there are a lot of them. If that's the case, let's go around them. Lu Wei was not a nosy person. She knew that their destination was the Pill Dragon Valley, and wasting time here was not worth it. It's too late. However, Ning Yu's heart sank, and his expression turned ugly. He said in a low voice, Someone is leading the bloodthirsty mad eagles in our direction. The moment he said coming, Ning Yu saw a figure charging in their direction at lightning speed. Yun Chang. Ning Yu recognized the cultivator at a glance. It was Danwu College's Yun Chang. Prepare for battle. Xia Linxian bellowed and took out the giant sword on his back, his expression solemn. Those are bloodthirsty mad eagles, early stage rank 3 demonic beast. Their strength is comparable to a mid-stage Xiantian martial artist. Ning Yu. Yun Chang's eyes were very sharp, and he naturally saw Ning Yu. After a momentary daze, he immediately increased his speed and flew over. Swoosh. Suddenly, a sword aura came from afar, heading straight for the dozen or so bloodthirsty mad eagles in the air. Woo-woo. Perhaps sensing danger, the bloodthirsty mad eagles let out a few screams and immediately scattered. However, they did not leave. Instead, they circled above the group, waiting for the next time to swoop down. In the blink of an eye, Yun Chang arrived beside Ning Yu's group with the bloodthirsty mad eagles in his arms. He sat on the ground, panting heavily. Yun Chang, why did you lure these bloodthirsty mad eagles over? Ning Yu's expression was dark. If not for Wu Yong and the rest, he would have killed Yun Chang long ago. Ning Yu, I had no choice. Yun Chang was not stupid. Xia Linxian's shocking sword attack had forced the bloodthirsty mad eagles back, giving him hope of survival. He had to hold on tightly to Ning Yu's group. He could not be eliminated. Yun Chang's eyes darted around, and he hurriedly said, Ning Yu, as long as you are willing to save me, I will tell you a secret. It's about your big brother, Ning Xian. Swoosh. Ning Yu's expression turned cold. He took a step forward, and a powerful aura pressed down on Yun Chang. Speak. What happened to my big brother? Under the pressure of Ning Yu's aura, Yun Chang felt like he could not breathe. He was shocked. Ning Yu's strength had improved so quickly. He did not feel this way a few days ago. However, Yun Chang did not think too much about it. He hurriedly said, Your big brother and Kong Yu went deep into the magical Beast Mountain range. They also want to go to Pill Dragon Valley. I heard that they were surrounded at the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley. Chapter 61. What did you say? Ning Yu's face turned cold. His aura gushed out crazily and pressed down on Yun Chang and scrupulously. Is this true or not? Tell me the truth. Plop. Unable to withstand Ning Yu's powerful aura, Yun Chang knelt on the ground and quickly said, It's absolutely true. If I'm lying, may I be struck by lightning. Hua. With a thought, Ning Yu instantly withdrew his aura. His face was ashen. The people of the corpse sect were extremely vicious. Once they targeted someone, the consequences would be unimaginable. In addition, Ning Xian's cultivation was only at the early stage of the Hotian realm. How could he be a match for the corpse sect? Screech! Screech! At this moment, the two bloodthirsty wild eagles finally couldn't bear it anymore. they cried out and quickly rushed toward Yun Chang. Ningyu, I'll give you this bloodthirsty wild eagle hatchling. Yun Chang quickly threw the hatchling to Ningyu and took a few steps back. This isn't a bloodthirsty wild eagle, but a dragon eagle. Looking at the hatchling in his arms, Ningyu was stunned for a moment. He determined that the hatchling didn't belong to a bloodthirsty wild eagle, but a dragon eagle hatchling. Whoosh, whoosh. While Ningyu was still in a daze, the bloodthirsty wild eagles in the air suddenly changed their direction and swiped at Ningyu with their sharp claws. Noisy! At this moment, Ningyu was a little irritated. The two cyclones in his body became violent. He took out the azure cloud sword and swung it around. Poochie! The azure cloud sword was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, two sword rays shot out and landed on the wings of the two bloodthirsty wild eagles. Although the wings of the bloodthirsty wild eagles were extremely hard, they were still cut off by the powerful sword rays. Bang bang! The two bloodthirsty wild eagles fell to the ground and let out miserable screams. The sudden change caused Lu Wei and the others to gape in shock. Ningyu was too abnormal, right? The bloodthirsty wild eagle was an early-stage third-order demonic beast, and its strength was equivalent to a Xiantian middle-stage martial artist. Ningyu had actually cut off their wings with a single slash. With such strength, it was no wonder that Lu Wei and the others were shocked. Looks like he hid his strength when he fought with me. In the distance, Xia Linxian frowned slightly. He was somewhat shocked. At the city gate of Tianxin City, he and Ningyu hastily exchanged blows. At that time, he didn't use any transcendent artifact, so Ningyu was at a disadvantage. This time, it was the same move, but it was much more powerful than before. Xia Linxian guessed that he would have to use his full strength to block Ningyu's sword. Brother Xia, why don't we work together to repel these bloodthirsty wild hawks? Ningyu did not become arrogant after killing two bloodthirsty mad eagles. Instead, he suggested working together with Xia Linxian. This was because Ningyu knew very well that the reason the bloodthirsty wild hawks had been cut down by him was because they had been too careless and had focused all their attention on the dragon eagle hatchling. On top of that, he had used his full strength without holding back, and had even used the key within two cyclones. Under such circumstances, he had only been able to kill two bloodthirsty wild hawks with a single slash. Otherwise, he would have only been able to deal with one bloodthirsty wild hawk. This was also the reason why Ningyu wanted to work together with Xia Linxian. All right. Nodding, Xia Linxian waved the giant sword in his hand, tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, and soared into the air. Swoosh! The giant sword in his hand slashed down, and a huge sword light suddenly appeared, blasting directly at the bloodthirsty wild hawks in the sky. Lu Wei, carry this hatchling. After passing the hatchling to Lu Wei, Ningyu rose from the ground, and his ki continuously poured into the Qingyun sword. Then, he used the first form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art and joined the battle. Seeing that Ningyu and the others had joined the battle, Wu Yong also joined the battle. His cultivation was at the peak of the early Khanate stage. Although his strength was not as strong as Ningyu and Xia Linxian, he could still hold off one bloodthirsty wild hawk. As for Lu Wei, she took a few steps back, holding the hatchling in her arms, her brows tightly knitted together. This was because she realized that the hatchling was actually injured. A piece of flesh had been torn off its chest, and the feathers on its wings were dull. Immediately, Lu Wei's maternal instincts were aroused, and she quickly took out the medicinal herbs she carried with her to stop the bleeding. I didn't expect you to be an alchemist as well, Yun Chang leaned over and said shamelessly. Without raising her head, Lu Wei said coldly as she stopped the hatchling's bleeding, "If you don't go and help, I won't be able to help you if anything happens." Hearing this, Yun Chang's expression changed. Recalling the shock that Ningyu had given him, he gritted his teeth, and in an instant, he leaped out and joined the battle. Yun Chang was not stupid. He immediately reacted to Lu Wei's reminder. His cultivation was also at the early Khanate stage, similar to Wu Yong. It would not be a problem for him to hold off a bloodthirsty wild hawk for a short period of time. He knew very well that he was the cause of this trouble. If he had not brought news of Ning Xian, Ning Yu would have killed him long ago. Therefore, he exerted all of his strength and did not dare to hold back in the slightest. Boom! A ray of sword chi shot out, and Xia Linxian said, "Ning Yu, with our strength, I'm afraid it will be difficult to force these bloodthirsty wild hawks to retreat. It seems like we need to think of another way. If this continues, our yuan qi will be depleted. Why don't we return the hatchling to them?" After attacking a few times, Ning Yu shook his head and said, "According to my observation, even if we return the hatchling to them, they will not give up. After all, it is not their hatchling, but the hatchling of their natural enemy." Frowning, Xia Linxian said, "If that's the case, we can only fight to the death." Swoosh! Xia Linxian instantly increased his speed, and with a slash, he landed on the neck of a bloodthirsty wild hawk. Crack! With a crack, the bloodthirsty wild hawk's neck was severed, its head separated from its body. That huge sword of his should be an earth-rank flying sword. Ning Yu was somewhat shocked. A flying sword that could sever the neck of a bloodthirsty wild hawk had to be at least earth-rank, otherwise it would be very difficult to do so. Damn it, if I had refined the soul imprint pill and imprinted my soul imprint on the soul-severing sword, coupled with the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, killing these bloodthirsty wild hawks would not be difficult. Grasping the emerald cloud sword, the yuan qi in the two cyclones gushed out wildly. Ning Yu felt extremely frustrated, as if he had the power but could not use it. The Supreme Nine Purities sword art was extremely powerful, but without a flying sword, it could not display its full power. Moreover, after using the Supreme Nine Purities sword art several times, the emerald cloud sword could not hold on any longer, and the cracks on the sword gradually increased. According to Ning Yu's judgment, the emerald cloud sword would break completely after using the Supreme Nine Purities sword art 4 to 5 more times. I have to force them to retreat or kill them as soon as possible. With a cold glint in his eyes, Ning Yu knew that Ning Xian was under attack at the entrance of the Elixir Dragon Valley's outer valley, and he had to rush there as soon as possible. Netherworld Samsara Palm, second style, lonely name. His hands formed a series of hand seals, and the yuan qi in his body gathered on his palms. Go! With a low grunt, Ning Yu swung his hands out. Chapter 62. Poochie. Before the two bloodthirsty wild eagles could react, they were struck by the giant palm and turned into specks of bloody light, completely disappearing from the world. Whoosh! Ning Yu's thunderous attack stunned the other bloodthirsty wild eagles in the sky. They stared at Ning Yu as if he was the Grim Reaper, the fear in their eyes visible. The shock that came from the depths of their souls prevented them from acting rashly. They could only cry out a few times in the air. Phew! Seeing the reaction of the bloodthirsty wild eagles, Ning Yu let out a long sigh. Currently, before he refined the soul imprint pill, his strongest move was the Netherworld Samsara Palm. Relying on the unique soul attack of the second move of the Netherworld Samsara Palm, he could contend against a Xiantian realm martial artist when he was in the late Hotian realm. Once he refined the soul imprint pill and imprinted his soul imprint into the soul-breaking sword, his strongest move would be the Supreme Nine Purities sword art that he executed with the soul-breaking sword. After all, the soul-severing sword was a heaven-ranked magic treasure. Ning Yu is actually this strong? Yun Chang was somewhat dumbfounded. He had thought that he had overestimated Ning Yu, but Ning Yu had given him a shock that far exceeded his expectations. Ning Yu's two palms just now made him feel like his soul was trembling. So this is your true strength. Xia Linxian's eyes narrowed, his fighting spirit surging. He had the urge to spar with Ning Yu. Screech! Screech! At this moment, 6 or 7 bloodthirsty wild eagles were circling in the sky, crying out. They did not dare to swoop down recklessly. With a cold look in his eyes, Ningyu tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and waved his hands again. In an instant 2 giant palm prints appeared. Boom! Boom! The palm prints did not stop at all, speeding into the sky. Seeing Ningyu's thunderous attack, Xia Linxian's yuan qi circulated wildly, pouring endlessly into the giant sword. In the next instant, a giant sword light slashed out, following closely behind the 2 palm print. Voila! Perhaps it was due to the immense pressure exerted on the bloodthirsty wild eagles by the palm imprint and the sword light, they let out a shrill cry and flew off into the distance. Whoosh! As soon as the bloodthirsty wild eagle flew away, Ningyu felt a wave of dizziness wash over him, and he felt like he was on the verge of collapsing. Lu Wei rushed to Ningyu's side and supported him, asking with concern, "Are you all right?" Waving his hand, Ningyu said, "I'm fine. Let's hurry up and reach the Pill Dragon Valley's outer valley as soon as possible." Stomping her foot, Lu Wei said angrily, "With your current state, even if you rush to the outer valley of Pill Dragon Valley, you won't be able to save Ning Xian. In my opinion, you should recuperate for a period of time. It won't be too late to rush there after you've recovered to your peak state." "I'm really fine." Pushing away Lu Wei, Ningyu wanted to take a few steps, but his legs gave way and he fell to the ground. The previous few attacks had already drained Ningyu's origin qi. Now, there wasn't even a shred of origin qi left in his body. Moreover, his whole body was extremely weak, and he really didn't have the strength to even truss a chicken. Circulating the spirit transformation art, Ningyu hurriedly absorbed some of the origin qi in the air, giving his arms and legs some strength. "Let's rest on the way. The corpse insect's way of doing things is incomparably sinister. I'm afraid it'll be too late if we delay any longer." Taking out a mid-grade origin crystal, Ningyu began to frantically absorb it to replenish his origin qi. Back at the Drunken Cloud Pavilion, he had won 10 mid-grade origin crystals from Song Fei, but he hadn't used them yet. Taking them out to absorb now was just right. After all, taking out high-grade origin crystals to absorb in front of Wu Yong and Xia Linxian was a bit exaggerated. Ga. When Ningyu took out the mid-grade origin crystal, the dragon eagle chick let out a few strange cries and struggled to break free from Lu Wei's embrace. Its small eyes shone brightly. Seeing this, Ningyu broke off a small piece of origin crystal and handed it to the dragon eagle chick. Kacha! The dragon eagle chick swallowed the origin crystal fragment after chewing for a bit. "This chick is a bit special. It can actually swallow mid-grade origin crystals." Xia Linxian was a bit shocked. He had seen demonic beasts that could swallow origin crystals, but he had never seen a chick that could. "Ningyu, will Lil Red be alright?" Lu Wei asked worriedly. "Ga. The dragon eagle chick let out 2 Ga sounds as if it was very satisfied with this name. The corner of his mouth twitched a few times. Lil Red? Only Lu Wei could think of this name. When the dragon eagle chick grew up, it would probably regret it because it was a male. Don't worry. I've read in a book that this kind of chick is fine after swallowing origin crystals. Once they become adults, they often eat the cores of other demonic beasts. Ningyu handed another fragment to the dragon eagle chick and said, "A demonic beast's core contains a lot of origin qi, no less than the origin crystal fragments I fed it." That's good, that's good." Patting her ample chest, Lu Wei let out a long sigh. It was obvious that she had already developed feelings for the dragon eagle chick and had become one with it. Shrugging, Ningyu was a bit speechless. There was a saying that a woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the sea, unfathomable and unfathomable. Let's hurry up and set off. I've already recovered a bit, but I'm afraid that the bloodthirsty wild eagle will come back if we wait any longer, Ningyu said after a cyclone had recovered a third of its origin qi. "Ningyu, this chick, should we Xia Linxian gestured at his neck as he spoke, his meaning self-evident. Xia Linxian, what are you going to do to my Lil Red? Lu Wei was a bit angry as she scolded. Lil Red didn't offend you. Why are you being so cruel? Xia Linxian felt a bit helpless. In truth, he was worried that Lil Red would attract other demonic beasts. They weren't in peak condition right now, and if they encountered a dozen or so third-rank demonic beasts, the consequences would be unthinkable. Brother Xia, it's fine. It shouldn't attract other demonic beasts, Ningyu said, shaking his head at Xia Linxian. The reason why Ningyu was so sure was that he had separated a wisp of his soul power and wrapped it around the little red packet. By doing so, other demonic beasts wouldn't be able to detect its aura. Xia Linxian had no choice but to set off dubiously towards the outer valley of Pill Dragon Valley. Wu Yong and Yun Chang followed closely behind Xia Linxian. As for Ningyu, he followed beside Lu Wei. He had to keep an eye on Lil Red at all times to prevent its aura from leaking and attracting other powerful demonic beasts. In the dense forest of towering trees, there was an open space filled with withered leaves. At this moment, on this open space, a dozen or so young cultivators were standing back to back, huddled together. Their clothes were ragged, and they were more or less severely injured. Some of them had a broken arm, while others were missing a leg. Surrounding them were dozens of black-clothed martial artists. These black-clothed martial artists were all at the peak of the post-liminary realm. Although these black-clothed martial artists were all at the peak of the post-liminary realm, the gazes of these young cultivators weren't focused on them. Instead, they were fixated on an old man who stood at the head of the black-clothed martial artists. The old man's aura was restrained. As he inhaled and exhaled, the air around him seemed to vibrate. This state indicated that the old man's cultivation had reached the peak of the post-liminary realm. Chapter 63. A dozen students from Danwu College. Not bad, not bad. The corner of the black-clothed old man's mouth curled up as his gaze swept across the crowd like a hunting dog staring at its prey. He said, "Now I'll give you a chance to live. Whoever can withstand one of my attacks will be allowed to leave." Hearing the black-clothed old man's words, a few of the early-stage Xiantian realm cultivators revealed a joyful expression. However, their expressions quickly turned gloomy. Although the chance to withstand one of the black-clothed old man's attacks seemed very high, it was actually very slim. The black-clothed old man was at the peak of the Xiantian realm. Not to mention early-stage Xiantian realm cultivators, even late-stage Xiantian realm cultivators might not be able to withstand one of his attacks. "Let me!" Suddenly, a young man in his 20s stepped forward and shouted, "I'll take one of your attacks." Looking at the young man, the black-clothed old man shook his head and said, "Peak Hoti on realm cultivation, I don't even need 10% of my strength to deal with you." Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the black-clothed old man's feet touched the ground and he instantly dashed forward. Bang! In the next moment, there was a loud bang and the young man's body was like a kite with a broken string. He fell straight to the ground. Poochie! A mouthful of blood sprayed out and the young man died on the spot. What? The death of the young man caused the expressions of the other Danwu College students to change dramatically. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. The black-clothed old man clapped his hands and said, "How boring. I didn't even use any strength and he already fell. Who's next?" This time, none of the remaining people dared to make a move. After all, they had just been taught a bloody lesson. No one wanted to face the god of death so early. A moment later, a man in light blue clothes said, "You guys besiege the students of Danwu College. Aren't you afraid that the dean's elder will come and fight you?" "Fight me?" The black-clothed old man pointed at his nose and laughed wildly. "To tell you the truth, your elder has already been besieged by the upper echelons of the corpse sect. His life or death is unknown. You want them to come and save you?" Wishful thinking. The man in blue felt a chill in his heart. He had been hoping that the academy elders would come to his rescue, but now it seemed that he had been thinking too much. The man's name was Han Feng, and he was the only old student from Danwu College who had come out for training. His strength had reached the peak of the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Before coming here, the elders of the academy had instructed him to protect the students of the academy. Now that such a huge change had occurred, he was also very distressed. Han Feng took a step forward and said, "How about we make a deal? As long as I can withstand one of your attacks, you'll let go of a student from Danwu College." The black-clothed elder raised his eyebrows and stared at Han Feng with interest. Peak of Xiantian Middle Stage. He broke through to the peak of Xiantian Middle Stage at such a young age. It seems like the decision made by the sect's higher-ups was right. The black-robed old man was secretly shocked because Han Feng was almost 21 years old, and his cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the middle-stage Xiantian realm, only one step away from the late-stage Xiantian realm. Even in the great Xia Kingdom's corpse sect, this kind of talent would be heavily nurtured. "Brother Han Feng, you mustn't. Yeah, you're no match for him. Where there is life, there is hope." Han Feng's face darkened and he said coldly, "All of you, shut up. I'm your big brother, your senior. I have the obligation and responsibility to protect your safety. Since you want to play, then I'll play with you." The black-clothed elder waved his hand, and suddenly, 20 Peak Hotian Realm warriors walked out from behind him. Pointing at the 20 Peak Hotian Realm warriors, the black-clothed elder said, "I won't fight with you. If you can withstand their siege for half an hour, I'll let one student go. Hold on for an hour, and I'll let 2 students go until they're all gone." "Xiao." Han Feng didn't speak any nonsense. His figure flashed, and he landed in the middle of the 20 Peak Hotian Realm warriors. After landing on the battlefield, Han Feng seemed to have changed into a different person. His eyes were sharp, and he repeatedly pointed his fingers. Streaks of cold light swept out from his fingertip. Puff, puff, puff. The muffled sounds of flesh exploding continuously resounded in this area. These sounds were like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Every time these sounds rang out, a Peak Hotian Realm black-clothed martial artist would fall to the ground, his eyes dim and lifeless. The sudden and unexpected turn of events caused everyone, including the black-clothed old man, to be stunned. Especially the black-clothed elder. He didn't expect Han Feng to be so strong. It should be known that Han Feng had been seriously injured before, and his yuan qi was almost depleted. Yet, he still had such combat strength. This kind of strength was really terrifying. Although Han Feng had displayed a strong combat strength at the beginning, forcing the black-clothed elder to retreat as time went on, he gradually became physically exhausted. Every time he attacked, it consumed a lot of his energy. If he hadn't intimidated the black-clothed elder at the beginning, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. Boring. After watching for a while, the black-clothed elder no longer paid attention to Han Feng. In his opinion, Han Feng was already dead. Swish. Suddenly, the black-clothed elder saw a young man in the middle of the crowd, and his face darkened. With cold eyes, the black-clothed elder instantly sped up. Yuan Qi was released from his body, and dozens of Danwu College students were shaken away. In the middle, there was a man in his 20s lying on the ground. His right leg was obviously broken. After staring at the man for a while, the black-clothed elder asked, "What's your name?" Ning Xian's heart sank, but he still answered honestly, "Ning Xian." "Ning Xian? What's your relationship with Ning Yu?" The black-clothed elder raised his eyebrows and asked again. "Ning Yu is my younger brother," Ning Xian said. The black-clothed elder's eyes turned cold, and he ordered the dozens of Peak Post-Liminary Realm martial artists behind him, except for Ning Xian, kill everyone else. The moment the word kill fell, the martial artists behind the black-clothed elder instantly rushed out, like hungry dogs pouncing on food, toward the Danwu College students. These Danwu College students were already seriously injured. How could they resist the attack of the black-clothed martial artists? Not long after, there were 7 or 8 corpses lying on the ground. Damn it! In the distance, Han Feng cursed. He forced the 2 martial artists in front of him to retreat and rushed back to help. There's no point in keeping you alive now, so you can die. Han Feng had just forced the 2 martial artists to retreat when he felt a cold light coming toward his chest. Then, he felt a great pain in his chest. His vision went black and he lost consciousness. Old fart, even if I become a malicious spirit, I will come back to seek revenge. The elders of Danwu College will not let you off. Ah! Chapter 64. Roar. In the depths of the Magic Beast mountain range, an earth-shattering roar reverberated, intimidating all the demonic beasts in the vicinity into scattering. Immediately, a giant King Kong tiger roared, its blood-red eyes emitting a bloodthirsty light. Its 4 hooves stomped on the ground, and it leaped, attacking a few martial artists not far away. King Kong tigers were mid-stage rank 3 demonic beasts, with thick skin and powerful strength. A berserk King Kong tiger could contend with a late-stage innate martial artist. Opposite the King Kong tiger, 2 young martial artists looked solemn. You guys back off! Xia Linxian let out a low bellow, waving the giant sword in his hand and pouncing at the King Kong tiger. The giant sword chopped at the King Kong tiger's neck, but it actually failed to cut it in half. Damn it! Xia Linxian cursed inwardly, and immediately pulled some distance away from the King Kong tiger. Brother Xia, help me stall the King Kong tiger for 3 minutes. Ning Yu's face was gloomy. He knew that the situation was dire. If he could not rush to the outer valley of Elixir Dragon Valley as soon as possible, Ning Xian might meet with misfortune. And the King Kong tiger was a mid-stage rank 3 demonic beast with powerful strength. It would not be so easy to defeat it. The only thing he could do now was to take a risk and gamble. Understood. Xia Linxian glanced at Ningyu, and the aura around his body suddenly increased, and he rushed at the King Kong tiger again. Swoosh! Swoosh! Beside him, Wu Yong and Yun Chang also joined the battle. Although their cultivation was only at the peak of early-stage innate, it was still possible for them to stall for half a minute. Ningyu took a deep breath, formed a seal with both hands, and displayed the essence-gathering hand seal. Buzz! Following the display of the essence-gathering hand seal, the surrounding Yuan Qi seemed to be attracted, and they all wrapped around Ning Yu's palm. At the same time, Ning Yu's mind moved, and the Yuan Qi in the 2 cyclones gushed out crazily, all converging at his right wrist. Bang! Bang! 1 minute later, Wu Yong and Yun Chang were repelled, and they suffered heavy injuries. Poochie! 2 minutes later, Xia Linxian vomited a mouthful of blood, and he fell to one knee, panting heavily. Damn it! On the 3rd minute, Lu Wei put Little Red on the ground, her almond-shaped eyebrows knitted together. She rose from the ground and was about to attack. Hiss! At this moment, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed. Violent Yuan Qi gathered on his palm, emitting a hissing sound. Netherworld Samsara Palm, 2nd move, Lonely Name. As Ning Yu bellowed, a nearly solid palm imprint blasted towards the King Kong tiger's head like a meteor. The substantial palm print collided with the Vajra tiger's hard body, producing a terrifying Yuan Qi wave that scattered in the air. After the surrounding trees were swept by the essence Qi wave, they trembled incessantly. Some of the smaller trees were even uprooted. Kacha! The abnormally hard Vajra tiger leather armor didn't last long under Ning Yu's tangible palm print. With the sound of bones breaking, the Vajra tiger's chest was struck by the fierce palm print, and its entire body was sent flying several feet away. Bang! Following that, a muffled sound was heard. A tangible palm print swept out from the Vajra tiger's chest, forcibly piercing through its hard chest. Puff! Fresh blood splattered. At this moment, the mid-stage Tier 3 demonic beast, the Vajra tiger, was killed by Ningyu with one palm. Xia Linxian and the rest looked at the Vajra tiger that was long dead, then looked at Ningyu who was standing in place. Their mouths were slightly agape, all dumbfounded. Gulp. After a moment, Xia Linxian and the rest reacted. They looked at Ningyu like they were looking at a monster. Killing a mid-stage Tier 3 demonic beast with one palm. Was he still human? Furthermore, a few hours ago, Ningyu had just made a move to kill a few bloodthirsty wild eagles and expended a lot of energy. How could he still unleash such a powerful attack now? Just where were his limits? Whoosh! Right at this moment, Little Red suddenly scurried out from Lu Wei's arms and ran to the Vajra tiger's head. Using its sharp claws, it extracted the Vajra tiger's inner core. After extracting the inner core, Little Red swallowed it into its stomach. Following that, it patted its stomach like a human and lay down in Lu Wei's arms to sleep. Full speed ahead. Glancing at Little Red, Ningyu forcefully swallowed the fishy taste in his throat. Then, he rose from the ground and rushed towards the outer valley of Elixir Dragon Valley. Behind him, Xia Linxian and the rest were not slow at all. As Ningyu and the rest were moving at full speed and did not encounter any demonic beasts along the way, they passed through the magical Beast Mountain Range and entered the outer valley of Elixir Dragon Valley a day later. Get down! Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed and he quickly pushed Lu Wei to the ground. Shoo! Just as Lu Wei was about to lose her temper, Ningyu quickly covered her mouth with one hand and pointed to the distance with the other. He whispered, "Don't speak." Lu Wei understood and immediately quieted down. Whoosh! Moments later, several figures appeared in their vision. Ning Xian, Kong Yu. Seeing the two familiar faces at the front, Ningyu's expression changed and he could not help but clench his fists. Because he saw that Ning Xian's right leg was obviously broken. Moreover, Ning Xian's breath was weak as if he could die at any moment. Who is that man? Could he be a genius from Danwu College? Glancing over, Ningyu was surprised to see the young man beside Ning Xian. He realized that the young man's cultivation had reached the middle stage of the Khanate realm. Han Feng. Ningyu did not know Han Feng, but Yun Chang did. After all, they were both students from Danwu College and Han Feng was his senior. It's Han Feng. How did he get caught? Where are the other students? At this moment, a series of questions flashed across Yun Chang's mind. He could not understand why Han Feng was caught. At this time, Han Feng should be with the other students. Could it be? Thinking of this, Yun Chang's expression darkened. A bad feeling arose in his heart. At this moment, an old man in black walked out from the crowd. It's him. Seeing the old man in black, Ningyu's heart trembled because he knew the old man in black. He was the mysterious man who attacked him in the Ning family, the barbarian corpse king. Ningyu, do you know him? Xia Linxian asked with a frown. The barbarian corpse king, a member of the corpse sect. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu slowly said. Originally, Ningyu did not want to tell them the identity of the barbarian corpse king, but considering that what he was going to do next might be crazy, he decided to tell them in advance. Sure enough, hearing the three words, corpse sect, even Xia Linxian, who was very strong, could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. With his special perception of Yuan Qi, Xia Linxian could already guess that the barbarian corpse king's cultivation was at the peak of the Khanate realm, only half a step away from breaking through to the true martial realm. Although his cultivation had reached the peak of the middle stage of the Khanate realm, in the face of a peak of the Khanate realm martial artist, he would be defeated in one move. The two were simply not on the same level. Moreover, he found that there were no less than 30 or 40 peak of the post-liminary realm martial artists around him. Just these martial artists alone were enough to make him suffer. He was different from Ningyu. Ningyu's absorption of Yuan Qi was extremely fast. On the way here, he had already completely replenished the Yuan Qi in his cyclone and was now in peak condition. Chapter 65. I didn't expect a mere middle innate realm warrior to be able to withstand my full power attack and not die. There must be some secret. I need to bring him back to study. Looking at Han Feng, the barbarian corpse king's lips curled up into an evil smile. Originally, he thought that Han Feng would be killed in one move. Who would have thought that when he wanted to leave, Han Feng would crawl back up like a cockroach? At this moment, the barbarian corpse king became interested and decided to bring Han Feng along. After all, one more person would not affect him. She's quite pretty. If I didn't have something important to do, I would really like to enjoy her now. Staring at Kong Yu, the barbarian corpse king revealed a lewd smile. Elder, why did you leave the three of them? Next to the barbarian corpse king, a middle innate realm warrior in black clothes frowned and said, "The mission we received was to kill all the students sent out by Danwu College this time. Leave none alive." Tai Feng, do I need you to judge my actions? With a cold snort, the barbarian corpse king's powerful aura pressed down on Tai Feng and said gloomily, "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask." Yes. Being suppressed by the barbarian corpse king's aura, Tai Feng hurriedly nodded. Ningyu, as long as you dare to come, I will definitely make you suffer. The corner of the barbarian corpse king's mouth curled up. This time, I must obtain a soul attack spell. Then, the barbarian corpse king asked, "How are the corpses?" Tai Feng said cautiously, "I have already sprinkled corpse-ine powder on the corpses. I believe those corpses have already turned into thick water." "Good, very good. You are still somewhat useful." Nodding, the barbarian corpse king waved his hand and said, "Take a dozen people and spread the news that Ningyu has been captured by us and will be executed here in a few days." Hearing this, Tai Feng hurriedly led a dozen warriors in black clothes and ran away. Swoosh! In the distance, as he watched Tai Feng and the others leave, Ningyu spoke in a low voice, "Everyone, let's part ways here." Lu Wei was slightly stunned when she heard Ningyu's words, and then she gritted her teeth and said, "Ningyu, your problem is my problem. Tell me, how can I help?" Ningyu did not say anything. Instead, his gaze swept across Xia Linxian and the others. Being stared at by Ningyu, Xia Linxian gritted his teeth and said, "I was hired by Snow Domain Pavilion to protect Miss Lu. I must follow her no matter what she does." Wu Yong raised his hand and said, "You saved my life. I will go through water and tread on fire for you." As for Yun Chang, he was very conflicted. He didn't want to get involved. After all, the other party was an expert from the corpse sect. However, he had no other choice but to firmly tie himself to the same boat as Ningyu and the others. Otherwise, if Ningyu got angry, he would not be able to bear the consequences. Ningyu took a deep look at everyone and said, "I will lure the barbarian corpse king away. As for you, you will rescue my big brother and the others. I know this matter is difficult for you. If you are not willing, I will not force you. Ningyu, you can rest assured. I am willing to make a heavenly oath. If I violate it, let the heavens strike me to death." Wu Yong said. "I will also make a heavenly oath." Yun Chang said. "Me too." Xia Linxian and Lu Wei said. Xiao Hong also raised her little paw, looking a bit cute. Ningyu was not a stingy person. Since Lu Wei and the others were willing to help him, he would not let them suffer a loss. He reached into his bosom and took out a small jade bottle. Bang! After opening the jade bottle, Ningyu poured out 4 crystal-clear elixirs. Supreme Essence Condensing Elixirs. Seeing the elixirs in Ningyu's hand, Xia Linxian immediately cried out. This time, he came to protect Lu Wei, and the reward was a Supreme Essence Condensing Elixir. However, the Snow Domain Pavilion Master had not paid him yet. Only when Lu Wei returned to Profound Sky City would he be paid. He had also seen that supreme essence condensing elixir before. Compared to the elixirs in Ning Yu's hand, one was like heaven and the other was on earth. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Beside him, Wu Yong and Yun Chang's faces were burning with passion. They even wanted to snatch it. Could it be that he refined these essence-condensing elixirs? Looking at Ningyu, Lu Wei was a little shocked. A few days ago, Ningyu had just bought 5 sets of herbs for refining essence-condensing elixirs from Snow Domain Pavilion. Now, he took out 4 supreme essence-condensing elixirs. She could not help but be suspicious. Xiao, 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 Xiao. With a flick of his finger, Ningyu handed the 4 essence-condensing elixirs to Xia Linxian and the other 3. These are supreme essence-condensing elixirs. My master left them for me. Since you are willing to help me, I will not let you die in vain. Ningyu said in a deep voice, your cultivation is at the peak of your stage. With these supreme essence-condensing elixirs, you can try to break through to a higher stage. Lu Wei, you are now at the peak of the Hotian realm. It is not suitable for you to refine the essence-condensing elixirs. Help me protect them and speed up their refining speed. Xia Linxian and the others did not say any nonsense. They all sat down cross-legged and threw the supreme essence-condensing elixirs into their mouth. In the next moment, Xia Linxian and the others felt a huge amount of energy spreading in their stomach. They hurriedly revolved their mental cultivation method to cultivate. Fortunately, Xia Linxian and the others were warriors of the Xiantian realm. Their physiques were strong, and they could withstand the power of the supreme essence-condensing elixirs. Compared to ordinary essence-condensing elixirs, the supreme essence-condensing elixirs refined by Ning Yu were milder and easier to refine and absorb. Gotcha! In the evening, Xia Linxian's eyes lit up with joy. The origin qi in his whirlpool reached its limit and expanded again. Late stage of the Xiantian realm. At this moment, Xia Linxian had broken through to the late stage of the Xiantian realm. His strength had increased by several times. Gotcha! Gotcha! After another hour, Wu Yong and Yun Chang both stood up with joy on their faces. Middle stage of the Xiantian realm. They were originally at the peak of the early stage of the Xiantian realm. With the help of the supreme essence-condensing elixirs, it was natural for them to break through to the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Moreover, there was still the remaining power of the supreme essence-condensing elixirs in their bodies. They believed that after refining it, they could break through to the peak of the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. They might even be able to break through to the late stage of the Xiantian realm. Who? After Xia Linxian and the others broke through, Ningyu let out a long breath. During the day, the corpse sect had lost more than a dozen peak Hotian realm warriors and a middle stage Xiantian realm warrior. As long as he lured the barbarian corpse king away, with the current strength of Xia Linxian and the others, saving Ningxian would be a piece of cake. Ningyu, why don't we wait for old Mo to come? You're not a match for the barbarian corpse king. Lu Wei said worriedly. Don't worry. I'm just luring the barbarian corpse king away. I'm not going to fight it to the death. With a faint smile, Ningyu said, when the time comes, we'll meet at the entrance of the Pill Dragon Valley. If you don't see me in 3 days, you can go ahead and enter the Pill Dragon Valley. But, Lu Wei's mouth slightly opened. She wanted to say something, but when she saw the look in Ningyu's eyes, she didn't say anything in the end. Chapter 66. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the forest, Ningyu's speed was extremely fast, and he appeared in front of the barbarian corpse king in the blink of an eye. He waved the azure cloud sword in his hand, and 3 sword rays flew out. The barbarian corpse king's expression changed slightly when he felt the strong wind. He then flicked his finger, and 3 sword rays shot out from his sleeve. Chi chi chi. In the next instant, the 3 sword rays were forcefully blocked, unable to advance any further. Whoosh! At the same time, Ning Yu landed steadily in front of the Barbarian Corpse King. Ning Yu! The Barbarian Corpse King was slightly startled when he saw the young man standing in front of him. He then laughed loudly. Ha ha, you really came by without any effort. I was just about to look for you, but you delivered yourself to me. Barbarian Corpse King, I know you want to deal with me. Let Ning Xian go. Ning Yu's expression was gloomy as he stared at the Barbarian Corpse King. It's not impossible to let Ning Xian go. The Barbarian Corpse King rolled his eyes and said, but you have to promise me something. Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, what is it? The Barbarian Corpse King said with a smile, how about using the same move that you used on me in the Ning family? Ning Yu's expression changed slightly when he heard the Barbarian Corpse King's words. A bad premonition arose in his heart. Looks like he knows that I used a soul attack spell. Ning Yu was not stupid. He understood the Barbarian Corpse King's intention after thinking for a while. When he used a soul attack spell against the Barbarian Corpse King in the Ning family, he must have been discovered by the Barbarian Corpse King. Now the Barbarian Corpse King was trying to capture Ning Xian to lure him out and force him to reveal the soul attack spell. Thinking of this, Ning Yu said coldly, Barbarian Corpse King, let's fight somewhere else. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Yu pushed off the ground with the tip of his toes, raised his speed to the limit, and flew into the distance. How could the Barbarian Corpse King not know what Ning Yu was thinking, but he did not care. In his opinion, the further Ning Yu went, the better. By the time he forced out the soul attack technique, no one would have known that he would be able to keep the soul attack technique to himself. Let's attack. In the distance, after the Barbarian Corpse King left for a period of time, Xia Linxian, Wu Yong, and the others immediately attacked. Their cultivation had increased by a level, and their strength had greatly increased. Dealing with dozens of peak Hotian warriors was not a problem at all. In about half an hour, Xia Linxian and the others had killed all the hidden peak Hotian warriors and rescued Ning Xian, Kong Yu, and the others. Let's go. After saving Ning Xian, Xia Linxian decisively led Ning Xian and the rest towards the inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley. Barbarian Corpse King, I have already used a secret technique to contact my master. When my master arrives, it will be the day of your death. Ning Yu's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the Barbarian Corpse King's sight. However, his voice still echoed in the air. Hee hee, you want to run away from me? Just as Ning Yu disappeared, the Barbarian Corpse King smiled faintly. Immediately, its ghostly figure dashed out quickly. Even the ground began to shake. No, if this goes on, the Barbarian Corpse King will catch up to me sooner or later. Looking back at the approaching Barbarian Corpse King, Ning Yu's expression was a little ugly. He was very worried. Although he had raised his speed to the limit and even burned his soul power to increase his speed, he was still somewhat powerless against the Barbarian Corpse King, who was at the innate perfected realm. At this speed, the Barbarian Corpse King would catch up to him in less than half an hour. Xiao. After about half an hour, when Ning Yu felt a strong wind coming from behind him, his body trembled and he quickly moved to the side. However, just as he moved to the side, a cold light passed by his head. It was only a millimeter away from hitting his head. What? Since the Barbarian Corpse King had caught up to him, Ning Yu simply stopped. According to his judgment, Xia Linxian and the others should have rescued Ning Xian. Buzz. Just as Ning Yu stopped, the Barbarian Corpse King blasted out another powerful attack towards him. The Yuan Qi in the cyclone surged and gathered on his wrist. Ning Yu pushed out his palm. Netherworld Samsara Palm, second style, lonely name. Bang! The illusory palm print collided with the Barbarian Corpse King's attack, instantly causing a muffled sound. Following which, violent Yuan Qi ripples spread out in this area and only dissipated after a while. Halfway up the mountain, Ningyu stood in the same place. His pupils constricted and his face was slightly gloomy. Not far in front of him, the barbarian corpse king stared at him with undisguised joy on his face. This is the feeling. It is indeed a soul attack spell. The corner of the barbarian corpse king's mouth curled up and he said coldly, Ningyu, hand over the soul attack spell and I will leave your corpse intact. The barbarian corpse king was very clear that if Ningyu's cultivation was the same as his, then he would not have been able to block that move. The faint soul attack mixed in the palm print made his heart tremble. If he was not prepared, he would have been hit by the attack. Humph! Barbarian corpse king, if you want the soul attack spell, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ningyu snorted coldly. Good, very good. Since you are not willing to hand it over, I can only forcefully plunder your memories. The barbarian corpse king's face was ferocious. The yuan qi in his body instantly surged and attacked Ningyu with lightning speed. His palm was bent like an eagle's claw, extremely ruthless. Seeing this, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. He retreated and drew out the azure cloud sword. With a flick of his wrist, the azure cloud sword flew out of his hand and attacked the barbarian corpse king. Crack! The azure cloud sword and the barbarian corpse king's sharp claws collided and made a crisp sound. Then, it broke into two halves. Seeing the azure cloud sword break, Ningyu's face was extremely gloomy, but there was nothing he could do. He was very clear that the azure cloud sword could not withstand the powerful force of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art. It was not easy for it to last until now. This soul attack spell of yours is also not bad. I want it too. The corner of the barbarian corpse king's mouth curled up and he accelerated again. The yuan qi in his body gathered on his wrist, and he ruthlessly chopped at Ningyu's head. Not good. Feeling the barbarian corpse king's powerful attack, Ningyu's expression changed greatly, and he could not help but retreat. At this moment, the barbarian corpse king used his full strength and did not hold back at all. He had already given up on the idea of forcing the soul attack spell out of Ningyu's mouth. Instead, he wanted to kill Ningyu by force and then use a secret technique to forcefully plunder his memories. Essence Gathering Hand Seal. Both his hands formed a seal and the Essence Gathering Hand Seal was executed to the extreme. The yuan qi in the surroundings frantically flew towards Ningyu. The yuan qi in the two cyclones poured out without any reservation and gathered on Ningyu's right palm. Still not enough. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu took out the remaining two essence condensing pills and swallowed them. Following that, the spirit transformation spell circulated crazily and endless yuan qi rushed out from the high-grade yuan crystals. Following the guidance of the spirit transformation spell, all of it was transferred to Ningyu's right palm. Netherworld Samsara Palm, second move. The powerful yuan qi fluctuation from his wrist caused Ningyu's expression to soften slightly. In the next instant, he formed a seal with his right hand and instantly pushed it out. Gu Ming. Chapter 67. At this moment, the heaven and earth yuan qi surged. The giant palm flew across the sky and arrived in front of the barbarian corpse king in an instant. It enlarged in the barbarian corpse king's eyes and clashed violently with his fist under his shocked gaze. Bang! At the moment of impact, the surrounding ground even shook. Majestic energy poured out completely at this moment, constantly spreading in all directions. The terrifying ripples became more and more intense. The surrounding ground had already split open into a giant crack. It was extremely terrifying. Swoosh! Swoosh! Almost at the same time, two figures retreated rapidly and only managed to stabilize themselves after retreating several feet away. Poochie! With a sweet taste in his throat, Ningyu spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His face was pale and bloodless. Ningyu, you have completely infuriated me. I will tear you apart. The barbarian corpse king clenched his fists tightly. His deep voice was filled with dense killing intent as it reverberated in the area. Although this was what he said, the barbarian corpse king was extremely shocked, extremely shocked. He did not expect that Ning Yu's full-force attack would be so powerful that it could be evenly matched with him. If he had not been prepared, he would have been injured by the powerful pressure on his soul. Even so, he felt that his fist was extremely sore and could not exert 100% of his strength. Blood-killing palm. A dense chill continuously burst out from the barbarian corpse king's eyes. In the next moment, the monstrous blood-colored Yuan Qi gradually gathered and finally, under Ning Yu's shocked gaze, quickly condensed into a giant blood-colored palm. Following the barbarian corpse king's angry roar, the giant blood-colored palm whizzed out and completely enveloped Ning Yu. Not good. Feeling the surrounding blood-colored palm enveloping him, Ning Yu's face darkened. Without saying a word, he rose from the ground and desperately burned his soul power as he flew into the distance. Ning Yu had used all his strength in that move just now. Right now, there was not even a trace of Yuan Qi in his Qi whirlpool. Not to mention the barbarian corpse king, even an ordinary body-tempering stage martial artist could kill him. Fortunately, his soul power was extremely strong, reaching peak rank 3. At this time, he used a secret technique to burn his soul power, raising his speed to the limit. What? The barbarian corpse king did not expect that Ning Yu could still burst forth with such a powerful speed, and was momentarily stunned. However, just as the barbarian corpse king was in a daze, Ning Yu had already disappeared. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the barbarian corpse king immediately set off, chasing after Ning Yu. Xiao! Xiao! In the forest, two figures, one in front and one behind, were flying at high speed. However, the distance between the two figures was getting shorter and shorter. I need to find a place to recover. Turning his head back to look at the barbarian corpse king that was rapidly approaching, Ning Yu's heart sank, and he released his powerful soul force. There's a cave over there. Suddenly, Ning Yu's face lit up with joy. He sped up again and ran toward the cave. Swoosh! In front of the cave, Ning Yu did not stop at all. With a burst of speed, he rushed in. Ning Yu could rush into the cave without any hesitation, but the barbarian corpse king did not do so. He stood in front of the cave with a slight frown. The reason why the barbarian corpse king did not enter the cave immediately was because Ning Yu was in the dark, and he was in the light. If Ning Yu launched a sneak attack, wouldn't he be seeking his own death? After all, Ning Yu's move just now had left a shadow in his heart. Ning Yu, I advise you to come out obediently. I promise you, as long as you come out, I will definitely spare your life. After pondering for a moment, the barbarian corpse king shouted at the cave. Barbarian corpse king, do you think I'm a fool? If you have the ability, come in. Ning Yu's voice came from the cave, carrying a hint of provocation. Hearing this, the barbarian corpse king's eyes turned extremely gloomy. He moved his feet, wanting to rush into the cave. However, just as his right foot stepped into the cave, he retreated. With a cold laugh, the barbarian corpse king said, I will wait here. I don't believe that you will not come out in this lifetime. As he spoke, the barbarian corpse king sat down and guarded the cave. Looking at this posture, he would not give up until Ning Yu came out. Inside the cave, Ning Yu separated a strand of soul force to constantly pay attention to the barbarian corpse king's movements. After confirming that the barbarian corpse king would not enter the cave for a short period of time, he sat cross-legged, took out a high-grade origin crystal, and circulated the spirit transformation art to absorb it. Because he had used all his strength in that move just now, he had exhausted all the origin qi in his body. Right now, there was not a bit of origin qi in Ning Yu's body. As the spirit transformation art circulated, strands of origin qi were drawn into the whirlpool in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness. Crack! When the two high-grade origin crystals shattered, the origin qi in one of Ning Yu's whirlpools was completely replenished. After another few hours, the other whirlpool's origin qi was also replenished. There is still some origin condensing pill's medicinal energy left in my body. I should take this opportunity to cultivate properly. In order to resist the barbarian corpse king's all-out attack, Ning Yu swallowed the remaining 2 origin condensing pills. The huge amount of medicinal energy had not been completely refined. Now that there was a chance, Ning Yu quickly circulated the spirit transformation art and refined the huge amount of medicinal energy in his body. As the medicinal energy of the origin condensing pill was refined, strands of energy flowed into the whirlpool. Suppress it for me. Feeling that the whirlpool was about to expand, Ning Yu's soul force instantly entered his sea of consciousness and frantically suppressed the whirlpool. Originally, the amount of origin qi in one of Ning Yu's whirlpools was equivalent to an early-stage Xiantian martial artist. After this suppression, the amount of origin qi in one whirlpool was comparable to a middle-stage Xiantian martial artist. In other words, the amount of origin qi in Ning Yu's body was equivalent to the sum of 2 middle-stage Xiantian martial artists. Bang! Bang! Although Ning Yu used his soul force to suppress the whirlpool, as the medicinal energy of the origin condensing pill continued to be refined, he finally could not suppress it anymore. 2 muffled sounds rang out, and the 2 whirlpools doubled in size. Peak Hotian Realm. At this moment, Ning Yu broke through the late-stage Hotian realm and reached the peak Hotian realm. As the whirlpool doubled in size, the amount of origin qi it could contain also increased. Even after refining all the medicinal energy of the origin condensing pill, it was only enough to fill one whirlpool. Shwa! With a flick of his wrist, Ning Yu once again took out a high-grade origin crystal and circulated the spirit transformation art to absorb it. After consuming a few more high-grade origin crystals, Ning Yu finally filled the other whirlpool. Not bad, not bad. Feeling the intensity of the origin qi in the whirlpool, Ning Yu revealed a happy expression. When he was in the late-stage Hotian realm, the amount of origin qi in one whirlpool was equivalent to a middle-stage Xiantian martial artist. Now that he had advanced to the peak Hotian realm, the amount of origin qi in one whirlpool was comparable to a late-stage Xiantian martial artist. In other words, if he were to face Song Fei now, Ning Yu would be able to defeat him in one move. Although his strength had increased by a lot, when he thought of the barbarian corpse king outside the cave, his face became somewhat gloomy. The barbarian corpse king was like a stone, pressing down on his heart, making him feel like he could not breathe. According to Ning Yu's judgment, even if he advanced to the peak Hotian realm and his strength increased by several times, he would still not be a match for the barbarian corpse king. After all, the barbarian corpse king was a Xiantian full circle, half a step into the true martial realm, and its strength was very strong. This won't do. I can't waste my time here. I have to find a way to leave. The barbarian corpse king was still guarding the cave entrance. It was basically impossible to leave from the cave entrance. Chapter 68. Before proceeding, Ning Yu released his soul perception to determine the situation inside the cave. What's going on? Frowning, Ning Yu's soul perception had just advanced 1,000 meters when it encountered an obstacle and was unable to advance any further. According to his soul perception, the 1,000 meters ahead of him was starting to narrow and could only accommodate 2 people side by side. Moreover, there seemed to be a barrier at the narrowing area, causing Ning Yu's soul perception to be unable to advance any further. Forget it, let's go in first. Thinking of the barbarian corpse king outside the cave, Ning Yu gritted his teeth and walked towards the depths of the cave. Not long later, he arrived at the narrow entrance. Just as he stepped into the narrow passage, Ning Yu felt a wave of cold air. The deeper he went, the heavier the cold air became. Helpless, Ning Yu could only release his yuan qi and form a yuan qi barrier around his body. With the yuan qi barrier protecting his body, the cold air immediately disappeared. After walking for about 15 minutes, Ningyu arrived at the end of the cave. There's no way out? Standing on the spot, looking at the surrounding stone walls, Ningyu frowned. Because in front of him was an empty piece of land. In the middle of it, there was a protruding stone with a few transparent crystals embedded in it. It's an ice crystal. Seeing the crystals on the stone, Ningyu's face lit up, as if he had a sudden realization. No wonder my soul perception couldn't advance any further after entering the narrow passage. So there's an ice crystal here. Ice crystal was a type of extremely cold crystal. It was said that it was produced in the depths of the sea and could emit a constant stream of cold air. To an ordinary martial artist, the ice crystal was not a good thing because it could suppress soul perception. In the area covered by the ice crystal, soul perception would be greatly restricted and would not be able to unleash its power. But to an alchemist, especially one like Ningyu who had the memories of a peak 9th-tier alchemist, it was a treasure that couldn't be bought with money, because the ice crystal could be used to refine two types of elixirs. Cold crystal pill. Cold crystal pill. The cold crystal pill was a 5th-grade pill that could strengthen one's soul force. Crystal Jade Dan, a 7th-grade Dan. It was the best Dan to repair soul force injuries. Whether it was strengthening one's soul force or repairing damaged soul force, it was extremely precious to an alchemist. On the path of alchemy, if one's soul force wasn't strong enough, then even if one's martial arts cultivation was high, it would still be impossible to refine high-level alchemy pills. At this time, with the grade 5 cold crystal pill, one could temporarily increase their soul force and raise their soul force to the grade 5 level. As for the 7th grade crystal jade pill, it could repair the damage suffered by the soul. No matter how much damage the soul force suffered, as long as there was still a strand of soul force left, then the 7th grade crystal jade pill could completely heal it. Although possessing the cold ice crystal did not mean that he possessed the cold crystal pill and the crystal jade pill, Ningyu still felt very happy. He walked in front of the protruding stone, wrapped his hands in essence qi, and carefully removed the cold ice crystal. Crack! However, as soon as Ningyu removed the ice crystal, the protruding stone completely shattered with a crack. Xiao! The sudden change caused Ningyu to be a little stunned. However, just as he was in a daze, a black box suddenly rushed out from the stone and went straight for him. Damn it! This unforeseen event caused Ningyu's expression to change greatly. He quickly put the cold ice crystal into his storage bag, then clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the box. Crack! In the next moment there was only a crisp sound, and then the black box was smashed into 2 pieces. Ha ha ha, I'm finally out! Just as the black box broke, a loud laughter rang out. Ningyu was slightly shocked, and quickly took a few steps back and looked into the distance. Who's talking? The essence qi in the cyclone surged, and Ningyu secretly became alert and asked in a deep voice. That voice sounded again, Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm under your feet? Under my feet? Ningyu was startled and his eyes looked down. Under his feet was a black puppy the size of a grain of rice. If one did not look closely, they would not be able to see it. Woof woof. The black puppy barked twice and gradually grew larger, until it was the size of a normal dog. Kid, I see that your bones are amazing. Why don't you learn how to cook from me? The black puppy stood on its hind legs and placed its front paws behind its back, like a swindler. Ningyu's lips twitched and he asked again, What the hell are you? The black puppy shook its head and said slowly, I'm not a thing, I'm the Emperor of Darkness. You can call me the Emperor of Darkness. Emperor of Darkness? Ningyu was a little confused. What the hell was the Emperor of Darkness? He had never heard of it before. The black puppy waved its paws and continued, Don't worry about my identity for now, hand over the ice crystals, and I'll spare your life. Ningyu was startled, and he took out the ice crystals from his storage bag. The black puppy's eyes lit up when it saw the ice crystals in Ning Yu's hand. It lunged at Ning Yu's palm. Whoosh! Who was Ning Yu? How could he let go of the ice crystals that he had gotten his hands on? With a flick of his wrist, he kept the ice crystals back into his storage bag. Kid, you're asking for it. The black puppy was enraged when it missed its target. It's none of your business whether I'm asking for it or not. I advise you to get lost now, or I'll teach you a lesson. Ning Yu shrugged and said calmly. Through his previous observation, Ning Yu had discovered that the black puppy's cultivation was the same as his, the peak of the post-liminary realm. At the same cultivation level, Ning Yu, who had 2 energy whirlpools, was not afraid of anyone. No, he was not afraid of any dog. You want me to teach you a lesson? The black puppy bared its sharp teeth, its bright eyes glowing fiercely. It stomped on the ground with its hind legs and charged at Ning Yu. When it reached Ning Yu, the black puppy extended a sharp paw and swiped at Ning Yu's neck. Although it looked a little bloated, its speed was not slow. Ning Yu had been guarding against the black puppy. When its paw swiped at him, Ning Yu struck out with his palm, hitting the puppy's head. It howled in pain and flew backward. Ning Yu looked at his palm, then at the black puppy on the ground. He frowned slightly and asked doubtfully, Dark Emperor, Dark Emperor? The black puppy struggled to stand up and said angrily, Kid, how dare you doubt my title? If not for my cultivation being sealed in the Elixir Dragon Valley, I would have taken your dog. Help, what are you doing? How dare you disrespect the dignified Emperor of Darkness? Stepping on the black puppy's tail, Ning Yu said coldly, Tell me, why are you fighting with me over the chilly ice crystal? With its tail stepped on by Ning Yu, the black puppy rolled its eyes and said, The chilly ice crystal is a great treasure, priceless. Who wouldn't want it? Is that so? I think you won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. Ning Yu raised his eyebrows. He gathered his essence energy on the sole of his foot and stomped down hard. A powerful force exploded from the black puppy's body. Its body flashed and it actually escaped from under Ning Yu's foot. Chapter 69. Ning Yu wasted no time. He stomped his right foot on the ground and dashed forward like a phantom. The yuan qi in a cyclone surged and gathered on his wrist. He threw a punch that carried a violent gust of yuan qi and smashed it towards the black puppy's head. F***ck, you actually want to kill me? Feeling the powerful yuan qi, the black puppy retreated, not daring to face it head-on. Bang! However, the black puppy's speed was noticeably slower, and it was struck in the tail by a punch. With a tragic cry, the black puppy fell to the ground. Seeing that Ning Yu was about to attack again, the black puppy hurriedly shouted, Wait, I'll tell you everything. Speak, if you play any more tricks, I don't mind eating a meal of braised dog meat. With yuan qi swirling around his fist, Ning Yu walked over. The black puppy was indeed strong. Its battle prowess was probably comparable to that of a mid-stage Xiantian warrior. Unfortunately, its opponent was Ning Yu. At the current stage, Ning Yu's battle prowess was already comparable to a late-stage Xiantian warrior. With 2 cyclones revolving at the same time, he could even kill a late-stage Xiantian warrior. Seeing Ning Yu walk over, the black puppy hurriedly said, The 4 ice crystals in your hand are not ordinary ice crystals. They are the keys to open the Medicine Sovereign Palace. Medicine Sovereign Palace? Ning Yu raised an eyebrow and asked doubtfully. This time, the black puppy did not dare to play any trick. It honestly said, The Medicine Sovereign Palace is located in the inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley. It is the resting palace of the Medicine Sovereign, the Medicine Sovereign. Medicine Sovereign. Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Alchemists were ranked from grade 1 to grade 10. Alchemists who surpassed grade 10 could be called emperors. In his previous life, Ning Yu was only a peak grade 9 alchemist. He had not even touched the threshold of grade 10 alchemist. He had not come into contact with the level of the medicine sovereign. Who would have thought that a small pill dragon valley was the resting palace of the medicine sovereign? The black puppy pursed its lips and continued, "Don't think too much about it. The medicine sovereign only stayed in Pill Dragon Valley for a short period of time. The medicine sovereign hall inside was created by him at that time." Ningyu frowned and said, "I heard that the Elixir Dragon Valley is the cave abode of an early-stage 5th-grade alchemist." The black puppy said, "Pill Dragon Valley is indeed the abode of a 5th-grade primary alchemist, but the Medicine King's palace has nothing to do with it. Back then, when the Medicine King was plotted against by his enemies, he could only use Pill Dragon Valley as a pretense and set up a temporary abode inside." This time, Ningyu finally understood. This was just a temporary resting place for the Medicine Sovereign. As for the Medicine Sovereign Hall, it was just a temporary cave dwelling. Even if the Medicine Emperor Hall was just a cave that the Medicine Emperor had casually opened up, there would definitely be some treasures and pills left inside. If he could find his alchemy notes, then Ningyu would have a high chance of advancing to the Alchemy Emperor realm in this lifetime. The black puppy extended its paw and said, "Lad, I've told you everything. Can you give me 2 of the cold ice crystals now?" "I don't really believe that the cold ice crystals are the key to opening the Medicine King's palace." Shaking his head, Ningyu said, "Aya, you broke the cold ice crystals." The black puppy was obviously very anxious, and it hurriedly said, "Crack, crack, crack, crack." Without hesitation, Ningyu threw the 4 cold ice crystals on the ground, shattering them. After the cold ice crystals shattered, 4 golden keys appeared. Swoosh! Seeing the golden keys, the black puppy leaped up and charged forward. Bang! Ningyu was constantly paying attention to the black puppy. At the instant it leaped out, he kicked out, landing a kick right on its butt. Ouch! With a pathetic cry, the black puppy tucked its tail between its legs, grimacing in pain. Picking up the 4 golden keys on the ground, Ningyu flicked his wrist and placed them into his storage pouch. "How dare you keep the keys for yourself? Lad, you've angered the Emperor of Darkness. The Emperor of Darkness will not let you eat." "Put me down, lad. I admit my mistake, all right? Put me down." Ningyu took a step forward, grabbed the black puppy by its tail, and swung it around twice before throwing it toward the stone wall. Woof woof! The black puppy barked twice, and its body spun in the air, dodging the attack. "Just now, I seem to have heard you say that your cultivation base was sealed in the Elixir Dragon Valley?" Ningyu unleashed his massive soul pressure, pressing down on the black puppy as he asked. "Peak Grade 3 Soul Power. The strength of your soul power has reached the peak of Grade 3. Feeling the soul pressure around it, the black puppy's expression changed slightly. It stood up again and exclaimed, "Your soul power is actually so strong." Soul pressure has no effect on you?" Ningyu raised an eyebrow, a little shocked. Facing his soul pressure, the black puppy was still jumping around as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed as he understood the reason. The black puppy was wearing a silver collar around its neck. The silver collar was constantly emitting energy, forming an extremely thin protective barrier around the black puppy, blocking Yongling's soul power outside. "Lad, my cultivation base is indeed sealed in the Elixir Dragon Valley. More accurately, it's sealed in the Medicine Emperor's palace." After blocking Ningyu's soul pressure, the black puppy said proudly, "If my cultivation base is completely unsealed, the Emperor of Darkness will not fear anyone. Kill you? All I need to do is move a finger. Lad, how about we make a deal?" The black puppy rolled its eyes and said, "Enter the Medicine Emperor's palace with me and help me remove the seal. From now on, I'll protect you in the celestial spirit realm." Shaking his head, Ningyu said, "If I help you remove the seal, what if you attack me?" The black puppy was enraged. "How dare you doubt the great Emperor of Darkness? I, the Emperor of Darkness, am a man of my word. I never go back on my word. After a moment's deliberation, Ningyu said, How about this? As long as you agree to one condition of mine, I can enter the Medicine Emperor's palace with you and help you remove the seal. Are you serious? The black puppy's eyes lit up. Of course, I'm much more reliable than you, the Emperor of Darkness. Ningyu said, There's a connate complete perfection martial artist chasing me outside the cave. If you can kill him, I'll help you remove the seal. Connate complete perfection. Hearing this, the black puppy's mouth twitched a few times, clearly speechless. Its cultivation base was only at the peak of the post-liminary realm, even weaker than Ningyu. How could it be a match for an existence that could chase after Ningyu? Forget it, looks like your abilities are limited. Seeing the black puppy's reaction, Ningyu shrugged. If that's the case, looks like there's no need for us to work together. Lad, Oh no. The black puppy was about to speak, but its expression changed drastically. Its fur stood on end and it instantly jumped behind Ningyu. Swoosh. Chapter 70. Barbarian Corpse King. Ningyu's expression was extremely gloomy as he looked at the figure that had appeared before him. Ningyu's expression was extremely ugly. He had focused all his attention on the black puppy, allowing the Barbarian Corpse King to enter the cave. Ningyu, die. The Barbarian Corpse King took a step forward, and the majestic Yuan energy in his body instantly swept out, turning into rays of cold light that bombarded Ningyu's head from all directions. The Barbarian Corpse King had made up his mind to attack with all his might. He had to kill Ningyu with lightning speed. Whoosh! Feeling the powerful Yuan energy pressure from the Barbarian Corpse King, Ningyu's eyes turned solemn. He took a deep breath, stomped his feet on the ground, and dashed out like lightning. He formed a seal with both hands, and palm prints appeared in the air, fiercely smashing towards the Barbarian Corpse King. Boom! The powerful Yuan energy cold light and the extremely sharp palm prints collided with each other under the black puppy's horrified gaze, producing a muffled sound. Ningyu, I didn't expect your strength to increase again. The Barbarian Corpse King's expression was extremely ugly and livid. Fearing that something unexpected would happen, he used a secret technique to conceal his aura, quietly appeared before Ningyu, and launched a lightning-fast attack. He had originally thought that he could kill Ningyu in one move. Who would have thought that Ningyu's strength would not decrease, but instead increase, becoming stronger than when he was outside the cave. Immediately, the Barbarian Corpse King's eyes turned cold. His legs slightly bent, and like a cheetah, he streaked across the air, charging straight at Ningyu. Hiss hiss. The extremely fast figure appeared in front of Ningyu in a flash. The sharp sound of wind whistling, accompanied by violent Yuan energy, slashed towards Ningyu's head with lightning speed. Netherworld Samsara Palm, solitary name. Facing such a powerful attack from the Barbarian Corpse King, Ningyu's pupils shrank. The Yuan energy in the two cyclones frantically moved, and all of it rushed out, gathering in his right palm. Go! In the next moment, as Ningyu shouted, a tangible palm instantly appeared above the Barbarian Corpse King's head and slashed at its neck. This time, Ningyu had almost emptied the two cyclones of Yuan Qi. Furthermore, he had mixed all his soul force into the palm print, hoping to force back the Barbarian Corpse King with a single strike. Bang! A muffled sound rang out. Ningyu's body fell backward and finally hit the stone wall with a bang. After all, the Barbarian Corpse King was a warrior at the Xiantian consummate realm. Its strength was valiant. Even though Ningyu's cultivation had reached the peak of the post-liminary realm and he had used his full strength, he was still not a match for the Barbarian Corpse King. Die! The corner of the Barbarian Corpse King's mouth curled up as he forcefully suppressed the shock in his heart. He leaped up again and lifted his leg, bringing with it a violent energy fluctuation as he kicked at Ningyu's head. Xiao. However, just as the barbarian corpse king leaped up, a cold light suddenly attacked him. Not good! The sudden change caused the barbarian corpse king to panic. He forcefully stopped his body in the air, formed a seal with both hands, and struck at the cold light. Go! In the blink of an eye, the black dog instantly grew bigger. It exerted a little force on its front paws and threw Ning Yu onto its back. Then, it accelerated and disappeared from the barbarian corpse king's sight. Courting death. Seeing that Ning Yu had been rescued, the barbarian corpse king was furious. The yuan qi in the cyclones became violent and continuously poured into its legs. The barbarian corpse king raised its speed to the limit and chased out of the cave. After the black dog brought Ning Yu out of the cave, it did not slow down. Instead, its speed increased again. Due to its extreme speed, the black dog's fur stood on end again. It stuck out its tongue and panted heavily. Brat, I've risked my life this time. You can't drop the ball at this crucial moment. After we enter the Medicine Sovereign Palace, you must help me remove the seal on my cultivation. The black dog turned its head and said as it flew at full speed. Thank you, Dark Emperor. Sitting on the back of the black dog, Ning Yu closed his eyes and quickly circulated the spirit transformation art, absorbing the high-grade yuan qi to replenish the yuan qi he had expended. That attack just now had exhausted all the yuan qi in the two cyclones. Even his soul force was extremely weak. A weak soul force meant that he could not burn his soul force to increase his speed. At this moment, without the black dog's help, Ning Yu might very well be killed by the barbarian corpse king. Therefore, he was extremely grateful to the black dog. Brat, hurry up and give me the high-grade yuan qi. The Dark Emperor ignored Ning Yu's words and stared at the high-grade yuan qi. My yuan qi is being depleted too quickly. If I don't have yuan qi to replenish it, I might be caught by that old fart. Hearing that, Ning Yu was stunned. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he took out a storage bag and passed it to the Dark Emperor. Right now, Ning Yu had two storage bags. One was Zhang Wenyong's and the other was Wu Yong's. He placed the devouring jade bangle and soul-severing sword in Wu Yong's storage bag. The storage bag he got from Zhang Wenyong was used to store the yuan qi. Crack! Receiving the storage bag, the Dark Emperor took out a high-grade yuan qi and casually threw it into his mouth, chewing it like a candy. Seeing that, the corner of Ning Yu's mouth twitched. He thought that the speed at which he refined the crystals was already fast enough, but who would have thought that the Emperor of Darkness was even faster? He didn't even absorb it, but directly swallowed it into his stomach, swallowing a piece at a time. He was much stronger than the young dragon eagle. Very good. With these high-grade yuan qi, that old fart can forget about catching up to me. After swallowing a high-grade yuan qi, the Dark Emperor's speed doubled. The necklace around his neck emitted a ray of light that wrapped around his body. Brat, sit tight. With that, the Dark Emperor shot out like a rocket. The whistling wind brushed past Ning Yu's ears. If it wasn't for the fact that Ning Yu had recovered some yuan qi, he would have fallen off the Dark Emperor's back. Damn it! Originally, the barbarian corpse king was able to follow closely behind the Dark Emperor. Now that the Dark Emperor sped up, he instantly disappeared from his sight. Moreover, the Dark Emperor and Ning Yu's auras were faintly discernible. In the end, they disappeared. Losing the Dark Emperor's vision and the unfathomable aura caused the barbarian corpse king to fail. After chasing like a headless fly for a few hours, the barbarian corpse king finally gave up and returned to where Ning Xian was. However, when he returned, he found that all the peak post-liminary realm experts of the corpse sect had been killed. Ning Xian, Han Feng, and the others had also disappeared. Ning Yu, I will tear you into 1,000 pieces. The barbarian corpse king roared and released his aura, causing the surrounding demonic beasts to retreat. At the same time, the Dark Emperor carried Ning Yu and continued to fly. With the replenishment of high-grade yuan qi, The Dark Emperor was like a train that didn't know fatigue. In the evening, after confirming that they had lost the barbarian corpse king, the Dark Emperor slowed down and landed. No, I'm too tired. I'll rest for a day. Tomorrow morning, we'll enter the Pill Dragon Valley's inner valley. The Dark Emperor waved his claws and collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. Enter the Pill Dragon Valley's inner valley tomorrow morning? Could it be? Frowning, Ningyu looked into the distance. Chapter 71. At the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley's inner valley, dozens of young warriors had already gathered. Most of them were at the early and peak Ho-Tian level. There were only a few Xian-Tian level warriors. These warriors gathered in groups of 2s and 3s, discussing something from time to time. In a spacious area, 2 martial artists were chatting. Zhang Wenyong, that bastard won't dare to come over, will he? A middle-aged man frowned, looking a little worried. I've said it before. There's no need for a life-and-death duel with him. I'll just kill him. The middle-aged man was none other than the pavilion master of Drunken Cloud Pavilion, Song Fei. Song Fei hated Ningyu, and so did Zhang Wenyong. They both wanted to kill Ningyu. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Therefore, the two of them formed a temporary alliance. The location of the life-and-death duel was outside Pill Dragon Valley. Now we're at the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley's inner valley. Waving his hand, Zhang Wenyong said lightly, "There's no hurry. Let's wait a little longer. I've received news that 3 days ago, Ningyu left with Wu Yong and the others. They're heading for Pill Dragon Valley. Zhang Wenyong, when Ningyu shows up, can you let me exchange a few blows with him first?" Song Fei said fiercely. In his opinion, the life-and-death duel between Ningyu and Zhang Wenyong was a sure thing. Ningyu would be the loser in the end. He wanted to teach Ningyu a lesson before Ningyu and Zhang Wenyong fought. Otherwise, the hatred in his heart would not be appeased. Hee, Song Fei, Ningyu is a 3-star consecrator of Snow Pavilion. He might have powerful warriors from Snow Pavilion protecting him. Do you dare to teach him a lesson? Zhang Wenyong said with a smile. Swoosh. Hearing Zhang Wenyong's words, Song Fei's face changed. Yes, Ningyu was a 3-star consecrator of Snow Pavilion. He would definitely have powerful warriors from Snow Pavilion protecting him in Pill Dragon Valley. Although he was at the late stage of the Xian-Tian level, there was still a world of difference between him and the powerhouses of the Snow Pavilion. Zhang Wenyong was different. The Zhang family's warriors had already arrived. As long as the Snow Pavilion warriors dared to intervene in the life-and-death battle between Zhang Wenyong and Ningyu, the Zhang family's warriors would not sit idly by. Xiao! Xiao! Right at this moment, the rumbling sound of wind being torn apart suddenly resounded from the distant horizon. The moment the sound of wind breaking rang out, a few figures dashed over. The sound of the wind breaking attracted the attention of the surrounding cultivators, their eyes filled with shock. Xia Linxian. Zhang Wenyong raised his head and clenched his fists involuntarily. His pupils constricted as he stared at the figure that had suddenly appeared. Whoosh! 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 Following that, several more figures streaked across the void and landed steadily. Zhang Wenyong's expression became uglier and uglier as his gaze slowly swept across the few figures that appeared after him. This was because he did not discover the figure that had caused him to lose face. Xia Linxian, I didn't expect you to come here too. Since he did not discover Ningyu, Zhang Wenyong decided to ignore him and said in a low voice. In the capital, he had always been suppressed by Xia Linxian. Now that he had broken through 2 levels consecutively and reached the middle stage of the Khanate realm, he was confident that he could fight Xia Linxian. Xia Linxian glanced at Zhang Wenyong and did not speak. Instead, he found a random place and quietly waited for the Pill Dragon Valley's inner valley to open. Seeing that Xia Linxian had ignored him, Zhang Wenyong clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. I'll let you be cocky for a while. After I kill Ningyu, I'll settle the score with you. Although Zhang Wenyong's expression was ugly after being ignored, he did not act rashly. After all, Xiao Linxian was powerful, and he did not want to fight with Xiao Linxian too early. If both sides were to suffer, it would not be worth it if he failed miserably when fighting with Ningyu. Therefore, Zhang Wenyong chose to endure. Wu Yong, where is Ningyu? Looking at Wu Yong, Zhang Wenyong said coldly, "Didn't he enter the Pill Dragon Valley with you?" Wu Yong could not be bothered with Zhang Wenyong. He found a rock and sat down, choosing to close his eyes and rest. After refining the supreme essence condensing pill given by Ningyu, Wu Yong successfully reached the middle stage of the Khanate realm. He was not afraid of Zhang Wenyong at all. Damn it! Zhang Wenyong's lungs were about to explode. It was one thing for Xiao Linxian to ignore him, but he did not expect that Wu Yong would also ignore his words. Swoosh! Rising from the ground, Zhang Wenyong threw a punch at Wu Yong's head. His heart skipped a beat. Wu Yong stood up in an instant. The yuan qi in his body surged and gathered on his fist. He threw a punch at Zhang Wenyong. Bang! The two fists collided and a crisp sound was heard. Zhang Wenyong took 3 steps back before he could dissipate the force from his fist. His face was a little ugly. As for Wu Yong, he took 5 steps back before he could dissipate the force from his fist. You have also reached the middle stage of the Khanate realm. Zhang Wenyong's face was extremely gloomy. He had worked hard and even had the help of the experts in his family to reach the middle stage of the Khanate realm. But Wu Yong had also easily reached the middle stage of the Khanate realm. This made him want to vomit blood. What? Middle stage of the Khanate realm? He is a middle-stage Khanate realm martial artist? It should be. The power from that blow has surpassed the limit of the post-liminary realm. It has reached the Khanate realm. Zhang Wenyong's words caused a huge uproar. Everyone was talking about it. After all, most of the martial artists were at the post-liminary realm. How could they not be shocked when a middle-stage Khanate realm martial artist, who was about the same age as them, suddenly appeared? Zhang Wenyong, are you the only one allowed to reach the middle-stage Khanate realm, but I can't? Wu Yong said coldly. Good, very good. Zhang Wenyong's face was getting uglier and uglier. His chest was heaving up and down, and he was on the verge of exploding. Suddenly, Zhang Wenyong saw Ning Xian lying on the ground. His heart skipped a beat, and his face lit up with joy. After deciding on the death match with Ningyu, Zhang Wenyong had sent people to investigate the Ning family. He knew who was in the Ning family and the cultivation level of the ancestor. Now, he recognized Ning Xian at a glance. Wu Yong, I won't talk nonsense with you. Hand over Ning Xian, and I won't lower myself to your level. Zhang Wenyong's lips curled up as he calmly said. Zhang Wenyong, what do you want? Before Wu Yong could speak, Lu Wei scolded. Ning Xian is an honored guest of the Snow Pavilion. What are you trying to do? He don't misunderstand. I have a good relationship with Ningyu. When I saw that his brother's leg was broken, I wanted to ask the elders of the family to reattach it. Zhang Wenyong smiled innocently. Those who didn't know better would think that he was telling the truth. Call me Lu Wei. Lu Wei said angrily, with me here, don't try to play any tricks. I mean no harm. I just want to save Ning Xian. Zhang Wenyong shrugged. He put his right hand behind his back and snapped his fingers. Swoosh. Then, a cold light appeared out of thin air and appeared in front of Ning Xian. It grabbed Ning Xian and lifted him up. Damn it! The sudden change angered Xiao Linxian. He stood up and waved his giant sword. A ray of light shot out and slashed at the empty air. Xiao Linxian's sword was so powerful that it could rival the peak Khanate level. However, after the ray of light shot into the empty air, it disappeared as if it was swallowed. Chapter 72. Swoosh. Seeing that Ning Xian was captured, Ning Yu's face instantly darkened. He clenched his fists and was about to rush forward to rescue him. Wait, don't act rashly. The Dark Emperor pressed on Ning Yu's shoulder and said solemnly, I can feel at least 6 or 7 powerful auras in the surroundings. Any one of them is stronger than the old fogey that is chasing us. 6 or 7 powerful auras. Ning Yu's face changed and he was a little shocked. He quickly released the soul power that he had just recovered and scanned the surroundings. This probing was not a big deal, but it gave him quite a shock. He discovered that there were a total of 7 terrifying auras at the entrance of the Pill Dragon Valley. Indeed, the weakest was many times stronger than the Barbarian Corpse King. If I'm not wrong, there should be 4 at the early stage of the True Martial Realm and 2 at the middle stage of the True Martial Realm. The Dark Emperor frowned slightly and said with a grave expression, There's even one whose aura is so weak that even I can't catch his aura. It should be the Zhang family experts. Ning Yu clenched his fists and a cold expression flashed across his face as he said fiercely. When he was in the Snow Domain Pavilion, he heard from Wu Yong and Lu Wei that the Zhang family experts would rush over to help Zhang Wenyong. Now it seemed that the hidden experts were most likely from the Zhang family. Taking a deep breath and forcefully suppressing the anger in his heart, Ning Yu did not make a move. The Dark Emperor was right. If he went out now, he would be courting death. Not to mention 7 or 8 true martial realm experts, he wouldn't even be a match for a Xiantian Great Perfection martial artist. If he encountered a true martial realm expert, there was no way he could survive. Oh right, Dark Emperor, if we don't go out, how are we going to enter the Pill Dragon Valley? How do we get to the Medicine King Palace? Suddenly, Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something and asked. After all, their destination was the Medicine King Palace, which was in the Pill Dragon Valley. The Dark Emperor waved his paw and said, Don't worry, there is more than one entrance to the Pill Dragon Valley. Slightly taken aback, Ning Yu said, Is there another entrance? Why haven't I heard of it? Rolling his eyes at Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor said, There are many things you haven't heard of. There are a total of 2 entrances to the Pill Dragon Valley. If you want to enter from the other entrance, you have to open this entrance. Rumble. Suddenly, a rumbling sound rang out. Then, the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley started to shake. The entrance is about to open. Seeing this, the Dark Emperor's eyes were filled with joy. He took a deep breath and said, Hurry up and recover. One day later, we will enter the inner valley from another entrance. As he spoke, the Dark Emperor took out more than 10 high-grade essence crystals from his storage bag, threw them all into his mouth, chewed them, and began refining them. Ning Yu knew that the person Zhang Wenyong wanted to deal with was him, not Ning Xian, so Ning Xian was temporarily fine. After thinking for a moment, he took a few high-grade origin crystals from the Dark Emperor and circulated the spirit transformation art, slowly absorbing them. Crack! At the entrance of Pill Dragon Valley, Zhang Wenyong looked at Ning Xian, who was thrown at his feet. Just as he was about to speak, his expression changed. A cracking sound rang out. Then, the stone door at the entrance of the inner valley suddenly exploded with a bang. Immediately after, an extremely powerful wave of Yuan Qi swept out from the inner valley, like a shocking hurricane. Charge, the inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley is open. Everyone go in quickly. Yes, Pill Dragon Valley is the cave of a 5th-grade pill master. There must be a lot of treasures and pills inside. If I can get a supreme essence condensing pill, I might be able to advance to the middle stage of the Khanate realm. As soon as the stone door exploded, the figures in front of the valley turned into countless rays of cold light and rushed out, rushing to the stone door in the blink of an eye. All of you, get out of my way! However, just as these people stepped into the valley, a deep roar resounded. Then, everyone saw an extremely strange black figure shuttling around, repeatedly striking out several seals, and all of them blasted on these cultivators. Bang! 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 A low muffled sound resounded through the area. After that, countless restless figures stopped in their tracks with a swish. They looked at the pitch-black figure standing at the stone door with faces filled with terror. If you want to enter Pill Dragon Valley, you can, but you will have to wait for 2 hours. Slowly sweeping his gaze across the crowd in front of the valley, the black-robed figure said sinisterly, "Wait for young Master Zhang to enter for 2 hours before you can enter." Swoosh. At this moment, Zhang Wenyong's figure flashed and instantly rushed into the valley. Damn it! The overbearing behavior of the Zhang family made the surrounding young martial artists very angry. Although there were experts from big families and geniuses from big sects among them, they still did not dare to act rashly in the face of the black-robed figure. "Lu Wei, when are we going in?" Xiao Linxian asked with a slight frown. "Another day. Ningyu asked us to wait for 3 days," Lu Wei said in a deep voice. To Lu Wei, if she wanted to enter Pill Dragon Valley, the black-robed figure would not dare to stop her. After all, she represented the Snow Pavilion. Although the Zhang family was one of the top families in the capital, the Snow Pavilion was not weak either. "All right, let's wait a little longer." At the mention of Ningyu, Xiao Linxian's face turned solemn. Ningyu lured away the innate complete realm barbarian corpse king to buy them a chance to save Ningxian. Now that Ningxian was being held hostage by the Zhang family, he felt very guilty. At the side, Wu Yong, Yun Chang, and the others were not looking good either. They had taken benefits from Ningyu but failed to help Ningyu. They all hated the Zhang family. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Following that, many young martial artists arrived. They wanted to enter Pill Dragon Valley immediately, but when they saw the black-robed figure standing at the entrance, they all chose to stop. Swoosh. 2 hours later, when the black-robed figure disappeared, the crowd of martial artists swarmed into Pill Dragon Valley like locusts. "Let's go too." A day later, Lu Wei took a deep breath. Her face was a little gloomy. She carried the dragon eagle hatchling and rushed into the inner valley. Behind her, Xiao Linxian and the others did not dare to delay and quickly followed. At the same time, Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor had already entered the inner valley from another entrance. As the Dark Emperor was in a hurry to remove the cultivation seal on his body, Ning Yu temporarily gave up the urge to plunder the Pill Dragon Valley and followed the Dark Emperor deeper into the valley. On the way, Ningyu wanted to stop a few times because he could feel the thick elixir aura in the stone room beside him. That aura could only be emitted by at least a Tier 3 elixir. Suddenly, Ningyu's face changed, and he and the Dark Emperor hurriedly came to a halt. Because the road ahead of them was blocked. To be more precise, it was blocked by a man and 2 demonic beasts who were fighting. Horned Dragon Beast, Tier 3 late-stage demonic beast. Looking at the 2 demonic beasts, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat because he realized that the 2 demonic beasts had reached late-stage Tier 3, which was equivalent to a late-stage innate realm martial artist. Superior Essence Condensing Pill. Chapter 73. So powerful! After forcing the 2 dragons to retreat, Xiao Yunlan retreated to the other side. She flicked her wrist and kept the essence-condensing pills into her storage pouch. After entering the inner valley of Pill Dragon Valley, Xiao Yunlan used her second-grade advanced stage alchemist's sharp senses to search and finally found a few essence-condensing pills in a stone room. Xiao Yunlan was elated. After all, she was a middle-stage innate. If she refined a few essence-condensing pills, she would have a high chance of advancing to the late-stage innate. Without thinking much, she entered the stone room and kept the essence-condensing pills. However, as soon as she kept the essence-condensing pills, 2 dragons appeared in the air and attacked her. She had no choice but to fight the dragons in a hurry. Not long after exchanging blows, she felt that she was not a match for the horned dragon. No. I have to find a way to leave. The dragons were 3rd-grade advanced stage demonic beasts after all. Their strength was equivalent to a late-stage innate warrior. If not for the fact that Xiao Yunlan had a grade 2 advanced stage soul power, he would have been completely obliterated by the two horned dragons. Xiao Yunlan's face was solemn. She knew that with her strength, she had no hope of winning. The only thing he could do now was to think of a way to leave this place. Only then would he have a chance at survival. Roar! Roar! Just as Xiao Yunlan retreated, the two-horned dragon beast roared and quickly attacked her from both sides. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Xiao Yunlan's toes touched the ground, and he quickly retreated. Ning Yu. However, as soon as she took a few steps back, Xiao Yunlan was startled. Because she saw a familiar figure. Watch out! Seeing Xiao Yunlan in a daze, Ning Yu sped up and pulled her back. Swoosh! Swoosh! At the same time, the two dragons missed their target. Hiss! After reacting, Xiao Yunlan sucked in a breath of cold air. If not for Ning Yu, she would have been hit by the dragon's horn. You know me. Frowning, Ning Yu was a little confused. He had never seen Xiao Yunlan before, but she knew him. Blinking, Xiao Yunlan said, You are Ning Yu, Snow Pavilion's third-star official. The whole Tianxian city knows you. Roar. Just then, the two-horned dragon beast were completely enraged, and rushed towards Ning Yu and Xiao Yunlan with all their might. Bang! With no time to think, Ning Yu's energy whirlpool surged with vital qi, and he threw a punch, hitting a horned dragon. Ning Yu had used almost all of his strength in this attack. The horned dragon was pushed back several feet by his powerful attack and eventually crashed into the stone wall. The horned dragon beast is a late-stage third-rank demonic beast, but Ning Yu was actually able to repel it in one move. Xiao Yunlan's mouth was slightly agape, and his face was filled with disbelief. She had also thought that a warrior who was praised by Elder Guan would not be weak, but she did not expect him to be so powerful. Even though he was shocked, Xiao Yunlan's hands weren't idle. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned his flying sword and engaged in a fierce battle with the other horned dragon. Her cultivation was at the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Moreover, she was a late-stage second-grade alchemist, so her soul power was not weak. He might not be able to deal with two horned dragons, but he could easily deal with one horned dragon. Swish! The Dark Emperor did not want to wait any longer. He instantly moved and joined the battle, fighting against the horned dragons with Xiao Yunlan. The Dark Emperor was at the peak of the post-liminary realm, and his strength was equivalent to a middle-stage Xiantian realm warrior. When he joined forces with Xiao Yunlan, the horned dragons did not last for long, and were defeated. Roar, roar! With two loud roars, the two horned dragons' figures flashed, and they escaped from this place. Even though Ning Yu and his group were not weak, it was basically impossible to kill the horned dragons without spending a lot of effort. Furthermore, Ning Yu did not intend to kill the horned dragons. After all, his destination was the Medicine Sovereign Palace, and it was not suitable for him to waste too much vital qi and deplete his strength. If there was any danger in the Medicine Sovereign Palace, wouldn't he suffer a great loss? He wouldn't even have tears to cry. Ning Yu, your pet dog is so strong? Seeing the two horned dragons escape, Xiao Yunlan turned around and looked at the Dark Emperor in surprise. The Dark Emperor could not be bothered with Xiao Yunlan. He rolled his eyes at her, and then disappeared in a few leaps. At this moment, Xiao Yunlan had suffered a great blow. It was one thing for Ning Yu to be stronger than her, but even a dog was stronger than her. Furthermore, this dog actually ignored her, which made her very sad. Ning Yu, why is your dog so hot-tempered? Aren't you going to control it? Xiao Yunlan said angrily. It's not my pet dog, it's not. It's hard to explain to you. I have something to do now, so I have to leave first. Be careful. When Ning Yu saw the Dark Emperor leave, he hurriedly bade farewell to Xiao Yunlan and quickly chased after him. Ning Yu, remember, my name is Xiao Yunlan. Xiao Yunlan stomped her feet and said loudly. Elder Guan, even you can't see through Ningyu. His strength is already infinitely close to the Xiantian full circle. Xiao Yunlan frowned slightly. She took a deep breath and thought for a moment. In the end, she did not continue deeper, but turned her head and entered another fork. The horned dragons left towards the depths of this passage. Xiao Yunlan did not have absolute confidence in dealing with them, so she could only choose another fork. Swish! Swish! In the depths of the passage, the Dark Emperor and Ningyu advanced side by side, their speed extremely fast. After traveling at full speed for about 15 minutes, they stopped at the end of the passage. Dark Emperor, where is the Medicine Emperor Palace? Looking at the stone wall in front of him, Ningyu said doubtfully. There is no longer a path here, don't tell me you have forgotten where the Medicine Emperor Palace is. The Medicine Emperor Palace is inside. The Dark Emperor's expression was solemn, and he said solemnly, Step back, I am going to use my secret technique. Hearing this, Ningyu hurriedly retreated. The Dark Emperor instantly grew larger, and with a stomp of his hind legs, he suddenly accelerated. Bang! Seeing the Dark Emperor's actions, Ningyu was a little speechless. Originally, he thought that the Dark Emperor would use his secret technique to find the entrance to the Medicine Emperor Palace. Who would have thought that it would actually use its body to ram against the stone wall? Clang! Clang! Every time the Dark Emperor rammed against the stone wall, not only did the stone wall tremble, even its body started to sway. If not for the fact that he knew that the Dark Emperor's physique was powerful, Ningyu would even suspect that the Dark Emperor would fall first before the stone wall was smashed open. Kacha! Kacha! As the Dark Emperor rammed time and time again, fine cracks appeared on the stone wall, and they gradually expanded. Bang! Finally, the instant the Dark Emperor's body was sent flying, a muffled bang sounded out, and then the stone wall completely cracked. After the stone wall cracked, a yellow bronze door surged out from within. On the bronze door there were 2 dents which were the keyholes. Ningyu, give me 2 keys. Seeing the bronze door, the Dark Emperor's face lit up, and he hurriedly said. Ningyu did not dare to delay, and he tossed the 2 golden keys to the Dark Emperor. Boom! The moment the key was inserted into the keyhole, the bronze door rumbled and slowly rose from the bottom to the top. A moment later, when the bronze door rose by a third, the Dark Emperor sped up and rushed in. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.